All right, guys, we are here live on location at Bricks Killeen here in Killeen, Texas. We came the whole way from the big DFW, and we're going to kick off the afternoon segment today with something different. And I've got a different guest for you today, and her name is Gracie. Here's the difference. If you've been to any convention before, you're like, you see all these giant, crazy builds. But today, you've got something different. And I've got my little friend Gracie here. Gracie, go ahead and say hi.
Hi.
Gracie's a little shy, and that's fine. This is the first time we've ever had a kid from a convention on during a live show, so always good to have. So, Gracie, can you tell us how old you are?
9.
9? Where do you live in Texas? Did you drive from somewhere crazy?
I live in McKinney.
You live in McKinney. Yeah, that's right, because you guys go to Frisco. All right, so what did you build that was so cool today?
Kashyyyk.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what's Kashyyyk. I don't know what Kashyyyk is.
It's a planet from Star Wars.
It's a planet from Star Wars, like kind of like Earth, or like
It's kind of like a forest planet and a beach.
forest and a beach. All right. So what made you decide to do that? Why build Kashyyyk?
Because I like it.
Because you like it. Well, what do you like about Kashyyyk?
I don't know, just like the forest stuff.
The forest stuff is pretty neat. I like it. It looked really neat. So did you ask Mom and Dad? You said, you know what? I want to build this. Can I do that? Or how did...
I just did it.
You just did it? Did they go buy you a bunch of Lego and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to build this?
No.
No?
I used my own money.
Your own money? Okay. So what else do you like to build?
Pretty much nothing.
Nothing? You don't like City or Ninjago? Like that guy's got Ninjago. You don't like Ninjago or anything like that?
Not really.
So what do you like? What other Lego things do you like?
Well, I don't really know. I just play with stuffies most of the time.
Well, Gracie, I appreciate you talking to us about your build. It was pretty cool. I liked it. So do you have any other Star Wars planets you're going to do in the future?
I don't know.
You don't know? She's shrugging her shoulders. She's being shy. It's okay. It's a big expectation. But I wanted to share it. I thought it was really cool to have kids come on and talk about their stuff because we don't see kids very often. So you're what, 9? You're in 4th grade? 3rd grade?
I don't know.
You don't know what grade you're in? Oh, my goodness.
Well, we homeschool.
Okay. Well, with that said, guys, we are going to take a quick break. We've actually got another youngin' that we're going to bring on real quick, and then we'll get on with more of the afternoon stuff. So don't go anywhere. Hang by as we take our break, and we'll be back in a moment. All right. Welcome back from the short break, guys. And we're joined by another young dude. This time, Gennaro. Gennaro, how old are you?
11.
11. So you're like into cars, fast cars, and stuff like that, right?
No, not exactly.
You're into Lego, though. I can tell that because your build is pretty wild that is over there. And you and your sister are the only people that I have ever seen at a convention that are not adults that have built something as cool as that. So tell us about what you built.
Well, it's Geonosis.
Geonosis, like, is that from like Minecraft or something?
No, it's from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, of course, Star Wars. I don't know very much about Star Wars, but so why Geonosis? Why? Because that's kind of an ugly planet. So why that?
Because I really like it.
Okay, well, what do you like about it?
I don't know. I just like it.
All right. So your build is pretty big. You like Geonosis.
It's only on 4 gray base plates.
It's on 4 gray base plates. That's it? Wow, it looks bigger than that.
Besides the top roof, that's a base plate that's cut by a pocket knife.
You cut Lego?
Yes. And I draw on it.
You draw on it too? Oh, God. People are going to cry, dude. Like, people are going to... They're smashing their speakers right now. They're so angry.
I've seen someone on YouTube who's... he looks like in his 20s or something, and he had drawn on Legos.
That's just sacrilege. But that's okay. We'll forgive you. So what else do you like? Do you like building your own stuff? You like making your own creations, a mock, or do you also like Star Wars sets that come out?
I like both.
Both? Okay. So what is your favorite? Do you like, some people like Ninjago, some kids like Star Wars, some kids like Friends. What is like your favorite Lego stuff to build?
My first favorite?
Yeah, first favorite. We can do that.
Probably Star Wars.
Star Wars? Is there a specific set, like an AT-AT that you like, or is there something like that you're like, this is the favorite one I've ever done?
No.
No?
No, I don't think I have just one favorite. I think they're all my favorites, pretty much.
All your favorites. So just Star Wars in general.
Yes.
You like all of Star Wars?
Pretty much.
Okay. So what if Lego said, you know what, Gennaro, we need to make a Geonosis set, and they said, will you help us? Would you say yeah?
Probably, but they've already made Geonosis sets.
But what if they made a big one, like the Spire? What if they did that?
Then I'd probably say yes.
You'd probably say yes. It's a hard sell, right?
I don't even know what that means either.
Well, what about if they did something like Bad Batch? More Bad Batch, because there is Bad Batch already. There's a few of them. You like Bad Batch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you like about those? Because it's tied to the show?
I don't know. I just like them.
You just like them. You just have a lot of words. I'm totally kidding, dude. I'm pulling your chain. So what else are you going to build after Geonosis? Are you going to leave it together? Are you going to break it apart and build something else?
I'm going to break it apart, save up, get more parts, and make a big Lego city.
A city? What's going to be in your city?
A lot of buildings like Walmart, skyscrapers, the bank, 2 police stations, 2 fire stations, an airport, a whole bunch of skyscrapers and houses, like 5 construction sites, a beach, and a bunch of other stuff.
So it sounds like there's a lot of emergencies in your city. I'm just saying, the 2 police stations and 2 fire stations, there must be fires and crashes everywhere.
Well, there is going to be an island with a volcano on it, and a prison island.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, Gennaro, I'm glad you came and talked to me about your build. I'll see you again in the future because you guys don't realize this, but I just found out not too long ago they're a part of the same lug that I am. So, Gennaro, do you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
Bye.
Bye. A man of many words. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to be back with Grasshopper. I think it's Grasshopper Squadron. So hang tight. We'll be back here on the flip side real quick and get going as soon as we're back from break. All right, guys, we're back in. I've got another guest here. This was a little bit longer of a break. I had to convince this guy. He's standing down there with his giant model. And now you're about to get a double dose of Matt. Obviously, you know me, but we've got a guy named Matt Penny that we're going to bring in here. So, Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. This has been a fun day.
It's been a wild day. We just got done interviewing two kids. We had somebody this morning that had giant mosaics that look one way when you're 10 feet back, and when you get in close, it looks nothing like it. And now you have this giant behemoth at the end of the grand hall that we're in here that, I'll be honest, when I first saw it and somebody told me it was a ship, I thought, okay, it looks like a battleship. It looks like a submarine. But it's like a flying ship. So tell me a little bit about what you got going on down there.
So as a kid, I used to watch this show called Star Blazers. And Star Blazers was, there were evil aliens attacking Earth. And the Earth was in danger, and they used the frame of a World War II battleship and made it a space battleship. And for an 8-year-old, that is the most amazing thing you could ever have happen. And so from that, it kind of mesmerized my childhood. Rush home to watch the TV show at 3:30 after school every day. And I built smaller models of it as a kid. And with COVID, I had more time on my hands than I'd ever had before. And that battleship is a playset that kind of came out of it.
It is. So let's talk about dimensions, because obviously this is, theater in its own way. How long is that thing?
It's sitting about 5 feet long.
Okay, because it's not so much the width. That thing is massively long. And I happened to catch you talking to somebody else down there, and you were saying that it was kind of meant to be more in the playset style.
Yes.
And you've got the compartments that are open on the side and everything, and you've got just bizarre. You've got like aliens. You got a dude with headphones on. You have what looks like one of the little baby minifigs that's up in the tower in the top, I guess steering the ship or whatever. So how did this all, obviously Star Blazers, but how did this come about? You know what? COVID's here. I've got nothing else to do. Wife, can I do this? I mean, how did you get the permission to do something like this?
Well, it's funny. When I was I was going to college at the time, a long time ago, because that's dating me now. But I started an adult Lego collection in college. I'd go to Walmart and find stuff on clearance on the shelves.
Yeah.
And so
still do to this day, right?
Yes, still do it now. And so I amassed this collection, and I'd always dreamed about building it, but I'd never really had time. I've got kids of my own, and they're priority. Sure. And but with COVID, I had all this time, and I'm like, okay, well, I know I want to build this, and when I build it, I want all these things in it, and every episode of the cartoon had the ship doing something different, launching fighters out the back, the guns that turned. They even had rocket anchors, which I don't know the physics of a rocket anchor in space.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
But it's on the ship. So
hey, you know what? It's fiction, right? That's what it comes down to.
So so I built all these compartments, and there's a jail, because you always put somebody in jail, and
sure.
There's crew compartments, and then there's the engine room, of course, because you always need more power from the engine room.
Yeah.
So just things I thought an 8-year-old kid, an 8-year-old Matt Penny might want to play with.
Right. We just had an 8-year-old walk by. It was screaming. If you guys didn't hear that, they're leaving without I don't want to leave yet. Hey, that's the kid in all of us. There's another one crying walking out. They're so sad they got to go home.
It's lunchtime.
It is. I guess it is lunchtime. It's a late lunch.
A late lunch.
It's so it's. I saw you've got your sign. It says what your ship is and stuff like that. And then at the bottom it says, "P.S. My wife wants me to sell this," with a sad face. Seriously?
Hey, my wife is actually very supportive. I guess old men whittle with wood, and it calms them down, and they build
sure.
little creations with it. I'll come home from a stressful day at work, and she's like, "Go tinker. You're in a bad mood. Go tinker." And I'll go to our little back room, and I'll tinker, and I won't really make anything, but just the process of kind of, I'll add some little. I think I added a fish tank the other day to the crew quarters, and I was very excited about that after 3 hours of work. And I came out. I wasn't frustrated. I was very calm. So she's been very supportive. She's like, "Go ahead." Now I will say, when it comes to when this event is over, she's kind of like, "Hey, where are we going to store that?" I don't know. Where do you put a 5-foot Lego battleship?
Okay, that's exactly. You want to put it on the kitchen table, right? That's what I heard. It's going to be our centerpiece and on the runner in the middle. Don't you know? Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I wanted to ask you this. You had said this is your first show that you've ever done.
It is.
And that it was the transportation of this behemoth. Obviously, you got to figure out, A, where am I going to store it at home? But B, Lego doesn't travel very well. So tell me about the journey. How far did you have to go to get it to here?
So I'm in Waco, so I'm only about an hour away.
Okay.
But we had to go to a girls' volleyball game first, so I'm now an hour there and an hour here. So it was a 2-hour travel.
Okay.
Yeah, partnering it up was a little tense. You put all this work into putting it on, and it's on a stand, and it's 5 foot long. I had read and watched stuff on the internet, and I knew I needed to build it in kind of modular pieces.
Sure.
So it breaks down into 3 main pieces. And then it was like a grandma's china. I've got all these towels and all these blankets that are kind of in
Egg
between
foam mattresses and
so yeah, I don't think there's a blanket at my house right now. They're all here in a tub underneath the table.
Well, I mean, it's delicate. It's plastic, but it is when it's combined together. It's the most delicate thing. Everybody's like, no, easy. Well, do you have what they call coffins for it, or is it just like it's going in a cardboard box? Or
no, so I just grabbed. I'd probably needed to do a little more pre-planning than what I did, but the budget was all spent on Legos. I wasn't about to tell my wife that, hey, I bought a custom case for that wasn't going to go.
No, of course not.
But we just had some plastic tubs at the house, and they fit it pretty well, and so we lined them with blankets and towels, and here we are. And it's in it. I don't think I lost anything. Haven't noticed if I had.
Right? You wait until you get home. You're like, where'd that minifig go? Somebody swiped it. And you're like, I knew it. And it happened to be just left under the table or something. The cleaning crew comes by. You're like, look what I found. So you came by yourself? Your wife come with you?
Just by myself.
Just
today.
by yourself. Okay. As far as shows go, you live in Waco. I'm from the Dallas area myself. Do you have a plan on, like, I want to go to this show? Obviously, Brick Rodeo happened at the end of July, but are there any other shows that you're like, you know what, I could go here, I could do that?
Hey, the Brick Rodeo was awesome. I saw pictures from that, and I was like, I was really sorry I missed it, but just timing, timing just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's impressive being at a first show is, I tinker with Lego, and I appreciate what I make, and you see some stuff on the internet, but you don't get an idea of scale.
Yes.
Until you come to a show and you're like, oh my Lord, that wingspan on that airplane was 1.5 feet wide.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So it's been really neat here. I don't think I've got any other shows that I want to go to. I've always wanted to go to one just to see the neat stuff that was there.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot, and Killeen is a small town. You talk about Brick Rodeo. I didn't get to go to Brick Rodeo because I was at Nebraska Brick Days, as my audience already knows. But the size of this show, this is really large considering how small of a town in comparison it is to like metro areas. Like, there's a lot of people here, and there's a lot of displays here. I mean, like I said, yours is at the end, kind of sequestered from everybody else. They're like, no. But there's a lot of stuff here, and there's not just a lot of small stuff. There's a lot of things in large scale. I mean, the giant castle that's down the way over there is... it's got to be 20,000 pieces.
There's some impressive stuff here.
Yeah.
I like the aircraft carrier. I saw that earlier. Of course, my dad collected Lionel trains, so I'm always looking at the trains over here. They're fantastic as well. Then we've got a nice collection of the World War II stuff, which I'm a fan of. Me and my dad kind of did that as I was growing up, air shows, and it's what's impressive about the airplanes over there is the scale. That's a small scale.
1/20th scale, or 1/20th. I forget what he said. I think it's 1/120th. Whatever it is.
They're
awesome.
Yeah, for as small as they got it down, I'm like, I recognized immediately what it was.
See?
So very good. And they've had people buy their place the entire time.
Yeah. Well, ever since you got here, you've had people walking by yours, and you've got the sides open, and people are like, wow, that is cool. Whether or not they know the reference or not, it's the idea of the build. Like, that's what captivated me. I'm like, that is cool. I have no idea what that is, but I love it.
Hey, I got to tell you, all right, so what made my day is I had a couple of older gentlemen about my age come by, and they immediately were like, oh, my gosh, that's the Argo from Star Blazers. And I'm like, and immediately there was a connection because they knew what it was. It's a little obscure here we are now, but they had an immediate connection. They were like, does it have the wave motion gun, which was the super powerful gun that it had? And, of course, I'm like, yeah, and it's got a light on it. So I'd hit the button to turn on the light for the wave motion gun, and we all just kind of had a moment of childhood memory.
You talk about that. You've got people that are probably listening somewhere around the world right now that are like, oh, my God, I know what he's talking about. And they they're running it back in their head. Yeah, that'd be awesome in Lego. Yeah, it is. It's huge, and it's cool looking. So let's talk about your Lego journey. Obviously, you said about college, going to Walmart, buying stuff. Oh, look, 80% off. I'll take all of them.
I've done that once or twice.
Oh, of course. Who hasn't? I mean, you're looking for parts or it's something you're like, I have to have it for the minifig. So your Lego journey, was it something that started prior to college and then it was like put away because, as boys tend to get older, they're like, girls, cars,
yes,
not toys.
Without a doubt. So growing up as a kid, my mom almost referred to it as a babysitter. She would go to the hairdresser and they'd put those big like bowls on their head that blew air. You remember those? Okay,
yeah.
So that's what I remember from the beauty salon when I was a kid. And they'd take my bag of Legos or box of Legos, and I would sit there for the hour and a half that my mom did her hair and not do anything else. And she loved that. And that's how Lego started for me. Put them away, obviously junior high, high school. And then somewhere in college, I had 8 a.m. classes. I was done by noon. And nothing to do. All my friends had kind of moved off, and I went to the local Walmart and just walking through the toy aisle, and you noticed on this top shelf, and it's kind of like you said, you're like, hey, here's a $50 set for $3.
Right.
Yes, please, I'll take that. And so that started a small collection that built up over time. Kids come into the picture. The job comes into the picture. And then my kids got old enough to start playing, and I slowly started playing with them.
Sure you did. You're like, they're in bed. Watch what I can do.
My kid would go to bed, and I'd wake up, or he'd wake up, and there would be some type of Star Wars craft for him to play with that day.
You see their eyes pop out. They're like... It's like Christmas morning all over again.
Yeah, they made you feel like the best builder ever.
Right?
So.
You're like, it has 47 pieces in it, and it looks like trash, but you love it, don't you?
It was fun. And so I think this just came about with, you get when the lockdown came with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We had all this time, and I'd had it in the back of my head, and I'd even played with ideas and laid out drafts of it, and I was like, I've got more time than I've ever had before. Ordered a whole lot of red and gray pieces, and we went to town.
So where do you get pieces? Where do you source your pieces from? Is it mainly Bricklink?
Bricklink primarily.
Okay.
There are a couple of vendors there that I really like. Most of my orders were actually pretty small in the volume that I see a lot of others. So,
are you a member of a lug?
I am not.
You're not.
No,
I think you're probably one of the only builders I've ever had on that doesn't own some kind of like Brickmania, like Dave that owns Brickmania, or Dan, not Dave. You're probably the only one I've ever talked to that has ever not been part of a lug. That's impressive. I don't know if there are any lugs in Waco. I think you'd have to go maybe to Austin.
I think Austin's got a really good group of lugs.
They do. They do. Yeah. So what about now? Obviously, you're a mock builder, or at least you have one. Do you have plans for something else? You're like, you know what? I don't want to tear it down, but maybe I'm going to start budgeting towards building this, or that.
Is my wife listening? Or is it, I don't know. I got to tell you, this is the first time I've ever built anything this large. And what I really enjoyed was the smaller stuff. So the Battleship Yamato, it launched these little fighters. And for a stress reliever and just enjoyment phase, I really love these little fighters. And for context, for those that are listening, I mean, these are probably only 3-4 inches square, and but just finding the right piece and making that angle look right.
Yeah.
And I didn't mess up an entire room dragging out different parts. That was very enjoyable. And so I don't know if I've got another big. My wife says I'm kidding myself, but I don't think I've got another big build in the immediate future.
She's just hoping. She's like, college savings? Where's that at? Okay. So with that in mind, are you a Lego set collector? Not collectors in like I have to have all of the Star Wars stuff from when it came back out and whatever. Is there something you're like, you know what, I kind of gravitate towards this current theme, and I'm like, you like think of like the modular buildings. Like, is that something you think about, or is there a theme right now you're like, you know what, I could really get into this?
So that's a great question. No, I'm not into sets. It's and I know a lot of the Lego builders are, and they'll display collections of sets, and I'm like, ooh, I wish I had that.
Yeah, right.
But the next thought that goes through my head is because it's got these parts in this color.
That's exactly it.
Without a doubt, I am a parts guy. So anytime I see a set, I'm immediately breaking it down in my head of, okay, it's got these in gray and it's got that in purple, and so without a doubt, I'm a parts collector.
So if you're a parts collector, let me ask if you know what New Elementary is.
I do not.
Oh my God, y'all, he doesn't know. Well, we'll let you know right now.
Okay.
New Elementary. Tim's going to be crying like, I've got another reader. They break down all the parts in any Lego set that they come across. And new parts in recolors, brand new parts, brand new colors. So you'll have to check them out. They're very good European folk that are just great at what they do. The rest of you out there should already know. If you don't, you better go to newelementary.com and check them out. With that in mind, no Lego sets. You're not a set guy. I'm looking at the box, and everybody does this. Everybody looks at it like, that's a new piece. I've not seen that before. Ooh, I could do this with it. Everybody, whether you're a mock builder like you or not like me, everybody does it. So what about, what would you consider your favorite either theme or set from? Could be as an adult, childhood, maybe it has some nostalgic value to it.
Oh man, I grew up in that golden age of Lego, and so
Yellow Castles, right?
Yellow Castle,
classic space.
I mean, you're talking my Christmases for several years right in there.
Okay.
And space is obviously my gig. I built a space battleship. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I remember flying around one of the little sets, and it's one of the other builders was showing me his display today, his mocks, and he goes, I found my blue hinges. And the way he said it, I was like, I remember doing that. You stack up your pieces.
Right.
I've got this bad habit of, I know I need, like 30 gray slopes or whatever, so I stack them all together, and I put them somewhere safe.
Right.
And then I get to that part, and I'm like, where all my
Where
gray
did it go?
So when he said I couldn't find my blue hinges, and he finally showed me he had built out of his original collection as a kid.
Okay.
And he opened up the back door, and I remember all those classic space sets. They open at the back, and something is dropped off a car or a package or something like that. Without a doubt, that's if I could pick a theme that would define me in Lego, that classic space. That's it.
That would be it.
With all the hidden compartments.
Well, I mean, you've got kind of hidden compartments down there. I mean, close enough. So there's some taking an idea and running with it, I guess. Well, any words? Because you're a fairly new guy to the mock building display arena. Are there any words that you would share with anybody that might be considering jumping off into the deep end?
There's some fascinating stuff online, and there aren't that many Battleship Yamatos out there as far as the space version. And it never coming to one of these and never having seen it, it can, when you look online, you can get very intimidated.
Yes, very much.
And I'll just tell you, that sapped a little of fun out of it on this build. And there were times where I just had to remind myself of, hey, I I don't have to. I'd never done one before, and it doesn't have to look perfect. And I just relaxed a little bit and realized, don't be intimidated by what's online. I love Legos. I love building. Just go and have fun with it. So if you're asking me if I would give a tip to anybody of, hey, if you're looking at building a big mock or you're looking at coming to a show, is, hey, relax and do what you do in loving Lego. And just soak it in and enjoy the moment. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, hey, that's what you say. That's what it is. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that seems to be more of a common theme where a lot of people that do display for the first time or come to one of these for the first time, they maybe feel out of place or like, my stuff's not going to be good enough when they get here. And you're surrounded by people that are just as nuts about the plastic brick as you are. So it's like, doesn't matter whether my stuff, I feel like it's good enough. Somebody else is like, that is so cool. There's always somebody that is going to come by and be like, I like that. That is neat. Doesn't matter.
I tell you what, it was so exciting earlier today that there was like a 5-year-old, and I guarantee you the 5-year-old doesn't know what Space Battleship Yamato is, but they were just like, oh, that's awesome. And it was cool to stand back. I'm 6 feet back from that, and just to watch that reaction was really cool. Now, I will tell you, they went over to the next person's thing, and they go, that is awesome, but it
took a little bit out of it. You're like, oh, God, seriously? No. Well, kids are very genuine in their expression. They don't worry about others' feelings.
Yeah.
So if they don't like it, they would walk right past it. So you should be glad that you're like, that's awesome. Anyway, well, Matt, I'm glad you came on. Share with the audience a little bit about what your build is, what your love of Lego is, and stuff like that. And moving along. I hope I see you at a show somewhere. Whether you bring this or you bring something new, if you can manage it, swing it, because we all know it's a financial burden that the Lego group continues to give to the community members. But I appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll have you back again in the future and discuss whatever else you're building.
Hey, this has been fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. I promise we're getting to the Grasshopper Squad. He was heavily busy with a build, so we're going to get to it here in a moment, and hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back in here, and if you looked at any of my social media earlier, you already know what I have seen today, and one of the things that I have seen today was a castle that puts all castles to shame. Classic, modern, doesn't matter. And I'm here with the castle creator himself. Welcome, Mr. Castleman.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So, I'm going to dub you the Castleman. Just like, I don't know if you saw the latest episode of, or
Yes, I have.
Lego Masters. You are now the Castle Bro. You're not Castle Bros. You are the Castle Bro. So, I've got Castle Bro here. Your castle is huge. I'm going to ask you how many pieces. If you know.
Oh, yes.
Do you know it to a T?
Oh, yes.
All right, how many?
Okay, right now as it stands, I've got about 25,982 pieces.
I told y'all it was 20,000. I was close. Somebody said it was like 10,000.
Yeah.
I was right.
No,
So,
you were close.
talk to me a little bit about what it is, because obviously I can see the where we're sitting right now. It's down the alleyway here. And I guess, is that supposed to be the backside? Or
That
is
is
just
the
way it is?
backside.
Okay.
The way that I've designed the castle is that it's supposed to be a dollhouse effect.
Okay.
Where I have scenes of the exterior on one side, and then I have the back opened up so everybody can see all the details that are in the interior.
Which there are a plethora of.
Yes.
How many little vignettes do you have in there?
Well, let's count them up. First, I have the dungeons, and then I have the catacombs on either side. So there's 2 there. I also have on the next level 2 dining rooms and the throne room. And in back of the dining rooms, I have 2 kitchens. Then above that, I have 2 princess bedrooms on each side and the royal bedroom in the middle.
Okay.
And there's an antechamber in front of the royal bedroom that goes to the exterior, where there's a balcony for the royal family to wave their hand like the queen.
So on the backside from the way we're looking at it, but on the actual front side of the build.
Yes.
Okay.
I know that sounds confusing.
It does. Somebody's like, wait, this doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
But,
and then what's really fun is that above that, then I have what I would consider like bathroom related stuff.
Okay.
On either side, I have some saunas, and I have little genie girls who are pouring water into a lava pit to create the steam.
Okay.
And I have some guys in their skivvies just sitting there going, this is
enjoying
enjoyable.
Enjoying the steam.
Yeah, and then in the middle, I have the combo bathroom. In the center of the bathroom is a pool that everybody can wash themselves in.
Sure.
And it's got a natural spring to it. And then on either side, I put stalls for toilets. And I made the toilets out of barrels.
Okay.
And I have a little seating area for them to sit above the barrel to do their
Outhouse
thing.
style.
And not only, because they're royal and they have to be prim and proper,
Yeah.
I've included toilet paper and reading materials for each toilet.
That's awesome. So I can see it's lit up.
It is lit.
Where did the idea, obviously the idea is not new, but how did that go? What did you use to light it up? Because I've seen a bunch of different people use a bunch of different ideas. Low voltage, their own custom voltage, to light bricks. So what did you do?
Mine is all light bricks.
Okay.
I went out to Amazon and I found a vendor that did what was called like a 3-pack. And each pack had 6 lights in them. And it was a pretty good deal what I got. And so I was able to get a whole bunch of these 3-packs and put them all together and put them all into the castle itself. Now, that was rather difficult because I designed the castle
ahead of time
before I put the lights in. So now not only do I have the lights that light everything up, but the little battery packs that I have to keep them lit are just sitting out all over the place.
Well, and the funny thing is, you mentioned that, and there's so many people now, mock builders, anybody, that are like screaming at Lego, like, we need lights, come on, give us lights. And the light bricks are great, they are, but everybody's like, we need more something efficient. We need like a battery pack that goes to wire this, and this.
Exactly.
One day it'll come, and then you'll have to redesign the castle again.
And one day,
modify it.
They will bring out more castle-themed stuff. But,
dude, I'm going to get a bunch of angry emails like, he's right, you know.
As a castle guy, I've just been chomping at the bit for Lego to come out with more castle-themed stuff.
Well, I know they did. I mean, we saw they did I guess this isn't really castle, but the medieval set, the Lego idea set.
Yes, it's a creator set that's medieval themed.
They did the creator,
yes.
Yeah, and then they did the ideas set, I can't remember what it was, the medieval wood shop or whatever.
The blacksmith.
Blacksmith, thank you.
Yes.
There's so many I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
So they've done stuff, but they are
one-shots is what they are.
They are one-shots, and myself and a few others have speculated that this might be just testing the waters to see.
And that is possible. Yes,
and
that is very good theory.
If they do, you're talking kids are going to want it.
Oh, yeah.
Adults that have had it or didn't get it before, even though it's new, will still go nuts. Whether you have, I don't know what all the factions are. I'm sure you do, but
oh yeah. I've been collecting Lego since 1978, and with that, I believe the first castles came out in either 79 or 80. Mm-hmm. The line really didn't take off until the 80s.
Yes, it did.
And then
it exploded.
It exploded.
And then they're
time.
like, nope, we're done.
Yeah.
Everybody's, this is a visual bit, sitting here with their hands up like, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
So,
it's like the last time that they had anything that was castle related beyond these one shots that have come out recently was the little castle from the Lego movie, where they had the castle that turned into a ship that flew around and pew 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 everything.
Yeah. Well, the huge castle. I mean, 25,000 pieces.
Yes.
If you were going to ballpark the price tag on that,
$100K.
Seriously.
Over
time.
With all the work that I put into it and the bricks and pieces, I would take no less than $100K for it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But so let's talk dimensions here because I didn't get to that. How tall is it?
The thing is 5 feet tall.
About how wide?
It is 6 feet wide.
Okay, I knew it was more wide than it was tall, but I couldn't quite tell.
And it's 30 inches deep from back to front.
Okay, no matter which way you slice it.
Yeah.
That's wild. That is huge.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So was it just a labor of love of your undertaking, or did you get help, or was it just like, a little bit at a time, I'm going to do this?
It is a solo project. It's the because I've always been with the castles because collecting from 78, the first things that came out were either city, castle, or space.
Sure.
Space, when I got my first set, which was like a basic set, like a creator set now. After that, then I was given a spaceship set.
Okay.
And then a year later after that, I was given a castle set.
Okay.
And I fell in love with both space and castle. And when I was in my youth, I would always collect 2 of everything.
Okay.
So I had a large quantity of stuff. And there were some cases where I've collected 4 or more.
You were the envy of all the kids on the block.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're like, I have 2 castles.
Yes.
One is unopened.
No, they were all
of course, I'm
open.
kidding. It's got to be open.
As a kid, it was like, I get a kit, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to build this one. I don't care if it's a repeat of the one that I've already bought. I'm still going to put together and have fun.
Rip it apart.
And play. So yeah, this was a solo venture of my own. What I tried to do is try to deck it out with as much details as possible, and also put in humor, put in some Easter eggs in there, and also try to include as many different themes from Lego as I could into the whole project.
So you don't have to go through all of them. What are some Easter eggs that you have tossed in there?
Some of the Easter eggs, one is there's an actual golden egg in there. There's only one golden egg in the whole project.
Okay.
So they can find that. They can find the 8-ball. There's a magic 8-ball in there that they can hunt and find. And then the toughest thing, I think, is the gray Scottish Terrier.
Okay.
I have a whole bunch of black ones in there that's mixed in, but there's a single gray one that they can hunt and find if they want to. But with the humorous stuff, I've got figures like the minifigure that looks like a Venus flytrap.
Okay.
And then I've got another guy who looks like a corn.
Okay, yeah.
So he's
Corn
a corny
cob,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he's corny as all heck.
Dad jokes for days.
for days, yeah. In one of the dining rooms, there's a dining room for the nights, and I put money on the tables, and I just say those are the nightly tips.
We need a rim shot. I don't have a rim shot. I've got. Here, I'll give you a clap. Everybody with the jokes. There we go.
Thank you. But yeah, I just got all sorts of stuff in there mixed in to appeal to all sorts of different people, because I will get different types of people coming in and looking at the thing, and it's just really neat to see their expressions, see what they focus in on or whether they don't focus in on, and see the whole detail. You could tell if a person is detail oriented or if they're just like a big picture type person. So it's really neat to see all those reactions.
I mean, I only got a picture of it because I was walking around, finding people for today. But you could pretty much sit there for probably 2 hours and just go vignette by vignette, little room by little room, and just, like you said, looking at details, looking at this, looking at that. So, oh, my God, that is so amazing. And look how he did this. And it's just all those little things. And then you get the Easter eggs, and you get the laughy stuff that goes on with it. So those are the kind of builds, not that I don't like, more realistic builds and things like that. Those make these kind of conventions much better because, let's be honest, the majority of the people here right now are kids with their parents, or I'm assuming they're with an adult. I hope they're not just free reigning it. But they go there and they stand there and they look at it and they're looking at all this kind of stuff. And then you have the added spectacle of the light that you have in it. The last thing you need is sound.
No. Let's not go there. Because it was bad enough.
100,001 penny.
Yes. The deal is that I made the thing without the lights, and I kept getting pressure by the other guys. They kept saying, "You need lights on this thing. You need lights on this thing." It's okay, fine. I'll put lights on the. So now that I have it here and I have lights on it and I have the battery packs sitting on top of the turrets and whatnot, I'm sitting at home now currently doing a redesign so that I can have the walls hinge so that the walls can open up and I can put battery packs in there to hide the battery packs.
So let's talk about transportation. We just talked about this. Talked to Matt with the Star Blazer down at the other end.
Yes.
How do you move that thing?
The transportation is one of the biggest questions that I get, and my only answer is that the thing breaks down into 11 separate pieces. So each level pulls up off the other level, and I'm able to disassemble it, load everything up, and then go home.
How do you pack your stuff?
I have to remove it one piece at a time, starting from the top down. Then I take the bottom pieces, put it into the car because they're too big to put in boxes.
Yeah.
So I have to put them in and line them up because the bottom section breaks up into 3 pieces that fit side by side. So I put those into the car, and then I put the middle section on top of that. And then the top section and all the sections that go around it, they are like in they're in the back seat or they're in the sides. They're just kind of put in there however way I can make them fit.
So no custom DHL crate for the DHL truck that's coming outside later to take your stuff.
No,
right?
no.
It's not flying from place to place.
I honestly, I keep asking my wife, is there any point in the near future that we may be able to get a van?
Yes.
And she says, only if I want to live down by the river.
So you have that. What, do you spend time mocking up other things?
Oh, yes, yes.
So what do you have in the works now that obviously nothing at this point is at that scale? Or is it?
Nothing currently.
So what are your ambitions?
Some of my ambitions, because I'm the castle guy here in Texas, I started back in 2011 showcasing my stuff at the second brick rodeo that ever happened.
A small brick rodeo.
It was a good sized one. There were like 150 people showcasing their stuff, and we had like thousands of people show up.
Okay.
So it was pretty good size. But from there, I've been working on the castles, and the guys a couple of years in would tell me, do you do anything else besides castle? We would like to see you do something else besides castle. And so peer pressure, I decided to branch out. I did some space stuff, got back into the space, and then here recently in the last couple of years, I've started doing mosaics, art projects. One of the other things that I'm really proud of is a husky picture. Everybody else calls it a wolf, but it's a husky, and it has these really bright blue eyes. And I loved it when I finished it, and I loved how it turned out, and people have been going gaga over it. As a matter of fact, the lady Dawn from the Lego Masters TVs, she came out to Brick Rodeo, and she gave me a little trophy for the husky. And that just made my day.
That's awesome.
You know, it was awesome. But I've been doing mosaics. I've been doing artworks. I've been doing some brick bending as well. And I plan brick bending.
What is brick bending?
Brick bending is when you take things like the 1x2 bricks and the 1x2 plates.
Oh,
and you
I know
stack
what you're
them in a stair step. When you do that and you put them in a row, you can bend them because there's a little bit of flexibility in them.
I have a friend that did a rainbow build, a spiral of it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
So I'm trying to get into that, and I'm going to try to use some of those techniques to add into other projects. We have a brick bending, which is several circles that are interwoven together.
Sure.
And I plan to take those circles and turn them into zoo paddocks.
Okay.
So that I can have a big ring of different zoo animals.
So we're going from castle to zoo.
To zoo, yes.
You're going to have your own little zoo build going.
Well, hey, Lego has been coming out with
you're
the
right.
elephants.
They're wicked.
The lions.
Yep.
All sorts of
all
cool.
These new things. You got the new monkey molds.
The new monkey molds.
Yep.
I even have the old monkey
molds. Oh, yeah.
Those
things are funky.
Yeah.
They're kind of creepy.
Yeah, they are.
So you've got those going on. Do you go? Is that all you do all day? You just Lego? In the evening, you're like, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, for the most part, I try, yes.
Is it like I'm going to sit down in front of the TV and do it, or is it just I'm in my space? I
have a room dedicated to Lego.
Of course.
And I have some of these IKEA bins that are almost 2 feet in diameter that are filled, and I have 40 of those just lined up against the wall, just completely filled with.
So you have your own little parts factory there.
Yes, yes. So I'll pull parts and I put things together. I get some ideas that pop up in my head, and I start working them out on a program called Studio.
Yep.
From Bricklink.
Yep.
So I work with that. And I get all my instructions organized so that if I want to build it, then I can get the instructions, get the bill of materials, pull the parts, and then step by step, just like with a regular Lego kit, do the same thing.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's how I did the castle. Is I did it first in studio, and then after I got it completely done in studio, I did the bill of materials to make sure I had all the parts, and then built it up once I pulled everything together.
That's incredible.
It is. It's awesome.
That's incredible. All right, so before we get out of here, what are some words of wisdom that you could give somebody? Because everybody's at a different level of building something, whether it be a small mocker or somebody like yourself that did big castle or the big ship, or looking at the Grasshopper Squadron across the way that's more the to scale historic. What would you tell somebody that's looking to get into it?
If they're looking to get into it, I would just say have fun. You can go out there and you can either collect parts or you can collect the kits. There are a lot of people who just stick with the kits. They'll build them and then they'll put them on the shelf, or they'll build them, take them apart, rebuild. They'll go back and forth like that. But those who actually try to build their own things, I would say, just foster your creativity and your imagination. Let it bloom. Because in my section alone, I have like 6 tables that are completely filled with all sorts of different things. From the castle to the mosaics, and it's just just look at what other people are doing and do your thing too.
Yeah.
And never ever be embarrassed. There was one person who felt like they were not quite,
just not good enough.
No, they thought they weren't quite good enough, and I tell everybody, you're good enough. If you're doing something on your own, you're good enough.
Yeah.
If you put bricks together and you made it look like something that you want it to actually look like, you're good enough.
Right.
Don't worry about what other people think. If you want to go to a convention and show it off, join us.
Do it.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Because nobody's going to laugh at you. Everybody's going to see that and they're going to go, cool. And there's one person here who was embarrassed. And they thought, mine's not good enough. And I had to sit there and talk to them for 30 minutes to tell them that, hey, this little technique that you did here with this crescent tile, making waves in a water, I said, that is a cool idea. And it's like, as a guy who's done professional stuff here, I will look at and I'll tell them honestly, I said, this is an awesome thing. You're using a technique that nobody has used before. Just like with me and the mosaic, with the mosaic, the husky, there's 4 colors of black, light gray, dark gray, and white.
Right.
There's only strictly 4. Well, I took that, and because there are studs that have holes in them,
right,
I expanded that to 8 colors. Because there's whites with holes, there's light grays and dark grays with holes. So I was able to just expand the whole thing by 8 different colors using an effect called dithering.
Okay.
Because I would put
You're throwing a lot of terms around here today.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Brick bending, dithering.
Debris, and all the acronyms.
So
you have SNOT, you have
burp,
burps, lurps, and,
So what is dithering?
Dithering is, I've been told, is a photographic term, which means that you take shades of gray and you apply like a different color to different pixels to make them shine a little better.
All right.
And it causes, like, you have white and you have a light gray, and when you put this dithering effect in between them, it kind of gives it another shade.
Okay.
It's still white.
Right.
But it is white with a hole in it, and you've got a darker color underneath it.
Interesting. I never even knew that. So yeah, I've learned so much today.
I have learned so much myself.
And you talk to somebody like yourself, and you just anyway. Do you keep an active presence on? Let's start with this question first. Do you use social media?
I barely social media.
I didn't know if maybe you were like, you know what, I'm here at this show. Here's a picture of what I've got, or I didn't.
Yes, I have a Flickr account.
Oh, okay.
I get so wrapped up in the joy of seeing other people's
Yeah.
builds here
Yeah.
that I honestly forget to take pictures.
So that's what you need me for.
Yeah.
I'm not the
Yeah.
photog, but I know somebody had a giant lens around here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like a telephoto lens was walking around earlier.
Yes,
So.
yes. I just recently started an Instagram account, so I'm going to try. I'm going to try it because when I went to the Brick Rodeo, all the people from Lego Masters who came out,
Yep.
they kept saying, I have an Instagram, I have
Yep.
Twitter, I have this, that, and the other, and I'm going, okay, cool.
I guess
Okay.
I might as well.
I might as well too.
I'll join you cool people.
Yeah, because it's like the first year when Lego Masters came to America, I had gotten an invite because of the one picture of my castle.
Of course.
That was floating out there. And someone tracked me down, and a headhunter for the show said, hey, we want you to come on the show.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody to come with you? And I said, well, I could get a friend from the Lego group. No. We want family. We want family to come in, and your castle was awesome, so we want you to be a part of this. I said, well, I don't have any family members that can join me.
Yeah.
My daughter, which is another family member that is into Lego, like with me, which has been a family thing for
Sure.
all of her life. She is off in college, so there was just no way.
Just no way.
But now, for next year, she says, if they come out with Lego Masters Season 3, we're doing it, Dad. We're doing it. And I'm going, sure, yeah.
Well, you mentioned that, and then we'll get out of here. I know you've got stuff to do, and I'm getting an
Yes,
evil eye from
I've got a
somebody.
big crowd of people still
You do.
hanging around.
You've got probably 300 people over there gathered around. No, I don't know how many it is. When they put all that information out, they send it out to people like myself and Beyond the Brick and whoever to share it. And after I gotten done talking to the casting director, he's like, "Do you want to be on the show?" I laughed. I was like, "Me? Me? You know what I can build? Something with directions. That's what I can build right there." And then after watching this season yet, which I frankly thought the builds were even more wild this year,
Yeah.
I'm like, me? On there? I don't think so, bud. So, well, hey, I would love to see you on Lego Masters. At least I have an in. I could be like, I get the first interview.
Yeah, that'll work.
I got the castle bro right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, though, is that because there are so many people across the nation that call themselves the castle guy, castle bro, stuff like that, the only way I can differentiate myself from them is to say that I am the Texas castle guy.
Texas castle guy.
I'm the
you gotta
Texas
say it with
castle
the twang, right? Texas castle guy.
Yeah.
I don't twang that bad.
I don't
I
mean
twang
you.
a little. I do have a little
But we've got to make
slang
it memorable.
in there. But yeah,
Ingrain it in your brains. You know?
yeah. Texas castle guy, y'all.
There we go. Throw the y'all in the end. I can see it now. Your shirt that says Texas Castle Guy. Y'all.
Y'all.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and
Thank you for
sharing
having
your
me.
build and and just
Yeah,
chatting up with the folks and
Yeah, and if there's anybody local who's listening to the podcast, I
there's plenty
invite
local.
them. I invite them to come out and see this. If not today, come out tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow. So
Definitely.
we're at the Killeen Civic
and Conference
and
Center
Conference Center here
On
on
W.S.
W.S.
Young. off of I-14.
I didn't even know it was I-14.
Yeah, it's I-14/190.
Yeah, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
this is odd. Anyway, but yeah, so I think it's 10 to 4 tomorrow?
It will be from 10 to 4 tomorrow.
10 to 4 tomorrow on Sunday.
And today it's until 6.
It is until 6. I won't be here the whole time, but if you do, or you're listening live and you are in the local area and you're coming out, just kick my table and tell me you're here. Anyway, so guys, we're going to enter another break real quick. I've got a few more guests before we wrap up the day. And I will tell you this. The train guy that we're about to have on, you're probably going to cry when the knowledge that he has to share with you. So hang tight, guys. We'll be back in a moment. All right, guys, we're back again. I know, I keep telling you, another break. But for real, this time we are back again, and I tracked him down, the infamous train guy. Every show has one. And today I'm joined by Tony from, is it Texas Brick Railroad. I was going to say Texas Brick Rodeo. Like, that's redundant. So, Tony, you guys have a huge display down there of, I don't even know how many tables. When I got here this morning, before any of these, all these people came in, I was walking around because I was trying to find where I was supposed to be. And I see all these huge trains. I see this massive layout. First thing I want to ask is, are your trains to a certain scale? Do you guys follow a scale?
My personal ones are, but we invite scales of all size at our club. We don't have a set size that we require anyone to do it. My personal trains are 1 to 48 scale.
Okay.
And that's about, if you know train lingo, it's O scale.
I don't, but somebody will. People do.
But the track is not O scale itself. It's actually a bit larger, so we call it L gauge.
Okay.
So you'll see in the train community a lot of people referring it to L gauge.
Okay. So when you guys throw your track down, do you go, I guess you can't go straight down to the base plate or whatever, can you?
Well, we can, but we've ballasted the track, which means we've added an underlayment to raise the track up so that the curves can float over tiles and everything's level. Okay. And adds a little level of realism to it. So
about how many trains do you guys have over there? I know you have multiple trains, but like how many cars and engines do you have over there roughly right now?
On display, I think we've got 8 locomotives and probably 20 or 30 cars.
That's pretty good size.
But, I mean, I got bins and boxes
I was going to say, I know that's not it, but I guess you guys only have so many. So what when you build these, are they kind of like, are you following like I want to build a replica of, I don't know, BNSF whatever, or are you just kind of like, you know what, we're gonna create my own train, whatever it might be?
For me personally, I try to render a real locomotive.
Sure.
I like to model something real and try to work within the bricks to get the shapes and everything correct. There are people who do the fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
We have one guy down in Houston who's built a very realistic locomotive, but it's pink and purple, and it pulls the princess train, and it's one of our most popular trains that runs. It's the first time I've ever seen girls chase a train on our layout before. And he's got a car that's an aquarium with Ariel.
Oh, that is cool.
He's got a refrigerated box car with Elsa, full of ice. It's got a little light in it. And he's got a gondola full of water and a beach with Olaf, and he's on the beach with the,
Yeah. That is the kind of stuff I like, seeing the realistic trains, because as a kid I loved trains. I mean, I didn't have enough money as a kid to have a train layout or anything like that, but Lego on the same side as well. But I like seeing that more whimsical type stuff added into those. It just makes it's kind of like Easter eggs in builds, like that has no place being there, like, but I really like that. So
tongue firmly placed in cheek.
Yeah, of course.
I have a giant ant farm on a car that's running around the layout right now, because I like to focus on the realism for the locomotives, but whatever they're pulling, I don't really care. I think it's funny. So I if I come up with an idea that's hilarious, or I think it's hilarious, I'll run it. I had Thomas the Tank Engine on a flat car with a scrapper about to start tearing him apart because I thought it was funny.
Right. So I want to talk about your scenery layout over there. You've got a bunch of different trees. When I say different, you have a bunch of trees. Are they all kind of, obviously they're custom builds, but are there like a technique that you're like, you know what, this is going to set the bar, or something like, you know what, I really need to do this to get a certain shape?
Yeah, I have 6 different designs that I cycle through. I'll buy or obtain a bunch of leaves and the trunk pieces, and I'll say, all right, I want one of these trees, and and I have a kind of a coniferous, like pine tree, and I have a more of a deciduous, and I have one that's kind of more oblong shaped, and I have some other ones that use non-traditional pieces that make up the trees. But yeah, I have about 5 or 6 designs that I kind of rotate through
back and forth.
Yeah.
So I've been meaning to ask, and I was going to ask this morning, but I wanted it to be like genuine. Obviously, we're in Texas. Industry is a big deal. What is the big, giant, gray mass of pipes and tanks and stuff like that over there?
It's a refinery.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's a petroleum facility. The company I work for, we own several of those.
Okay.
I didn't build it myself, but I recognize what it is. It's very well done.
It is very well done. It was one of those parts of that giant monstrosity of builds that I was kind of blown away with. What is the big blue silo-ish tower or whatever it is over there?
That's the big blue tower.
It is the big blue tower.
It's actually got a core of blacklight LEDs running down the center of it.
Okay.
And if we had a floor plug close enough to the tables, it would have been lit.
Okay.
And it's actually kind of a focal point for our layouts.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's still a focal point. It's a giant blue building sticking up.
Well, it's also built with brick bending. It's 3-sided.
We just talked about
it's
that.
all 1x2 plates, and it's 3 sides. They're curved where it's got the 3 corners and the curved walls between. It's all transparent 1x2 plates.
That is cool. Well, okay. So how many of you guys are here, guys, gals? Are y'all here from TBR to put on the show today?
I think 6.
So do you guys only do, obviously Texas Brick Railroad, but do you do other things outside of like the railroad stuff? Like, do you take a castle from time to time, or is it just strictly like, this is what we do and that's all we do?
If someone shows up or contacts us and they want to display with us, as long as we can make it fit, we'll make it fit.
Okay.
We don't mind being whimsical if whatever we can fit, fit, we can make it fit. Typically, it's town, or castle. You can make castle fit very easily. Space and other things a little bit harder.
A little bit,
but I mean, we would accept the challenge if somebody wants to display.
A flying saucer above one of the rail cars, trying to suck a cow out of the cattle car.
Steve built a boxcar that had Cthulhu coming out of it and all these black tentacles and picking up the minifigs.
That I like that. That's different. So, talk to me a little about TBR. Are you you guys obviously are not strictly, but more the railroad focus. Somebody that might be interested in joining it from the area. Where are you guys based out of, first off?
We are statewide.
Right.
But we are primarily by population Houston, Austin.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to join, are they contacting Ed and saying, hey, we want to join the TBR?
All you got to do is join you can contact us on Facebook, but we have a Google group, and that's where we do all our primary conversation. And if you just join the Google group, you're a member of the club.
So it's not,
there's no formality.
No weird.
No.
You've got to eat the world's hottest chip first, or
be tempting, but no. No, we're an offshoot of the original Texlug.
Oh yeah,
where Texlug was statewide, and then they broke out into the 4 major cities, and we decided to form our own club because we were asking the rest of the group to, we need this and this and this, and we need to have these tables and this and these standards, and we decided that to make it easier on them, we would separate and say, this is us, this is you can join us.
That's you, this is us.
Yeah, and we'll put on displays, and if you want to join us and follow our requirements, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that way, the people who didn't want to have that rigid structure of having to do these tables and having to put the track where the track is, and they could do their own thing, and no feelings hurt.
That's the key right there. No feelings are hurt. All right. So, are you a part of another lug den?
I'm officially a member of Texas Brick Railroad and the Houston Brick Club.
Okay. Because I know there's the Austin one. I can't think of whatever it is, but I know some people jump back and forth because I know we have a member in our DFW lug. I don't know if he's a part of the train lug, but he does a lot of train stuff within the state. But so nothing specific like that. What other shows are you guys going to be going to here in the future?
The next show is going to be New Braunfels.
Okay.
The New Braunfels Chain Show in Halloween weekend.
Oh, okay.
I won't be going because it's Halloween weekend, and I have young kids that
of course
want to trick or treat and
hunt candy.
I don't want to miss that. But we were going to go to Texas City, but Texas City has been canceled. So the next official one might be the Galveston Railroad Museum show in spring. We don't have... Well, I guess... Oh, there's Orange, Texas.
Okay. There's
a small show there. and a couple of us from Houston tend to drive over. It's about 2.5-hour drive from Houston. It's great. Those guys are great guys. They're a model train club that host us, and they have an open house, and they put up a little display of their traditional model railroading.
Yeah.
And ever since we started displaying with them, they've gotten an appreciation of the Lego trains, because in the traditional model railroad community, Lego trains are typically viewed as a toy.
Yeah.
And when we put these displays up, we start changing hearts and minds, and like, oh, maybe there's more to it than that.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So let's push the lug stuff away, the train club away. Where did your Lego journey begin?
Well, back in start from the very beginning. Everyone had kids, Lego and their kid, and my grandparents bought me Firehouse 1 from the 80s, and that kind of got me started on wanting to play with Lego. But I didn't start as an adult until July of 2000 when I joined LugNet, and so I've been in the AFL for about 20 years now.
Okay.
And I started with Castle, and
everybody I've talked to today said they've started with Castle.
Well, I started with Castle.
It's what was around.
Yeah.
It's not like you had all these other IPs and offshoots. So.
And I actually started illustrating my own online novel.
Oh.
It was 40 little chapters, and it was all illustrated with Lego, and I even started on a sequel and that kind of died away. But I helped found ClassicCastle.com. I was one of the original founders. And then I was about 6 years, I guess, 6 years or so. And then my wife decided, she asked me, can you build me a Polar Express in Lego so I can put it on display? And all she wanted was this static, thing on the wall. And I built a fully functional, fully track compatible, motorized Polar Express with interiors and the whole 9 yards, and that kind of got me started on the train,
of course,
part of it, and that kind of. So I blame her; it's her fault. But it
spiraled
blame
out. Somebody might as well. Completely
spiraled out of control. Now I have built, I think, 23 locomotives and probably 50 or 60 cars, and half that layout's my track.
Okay.
So I have a lot of track.
So the spec of track you're talking about, is that 3D printed then? Or are you guys buying it from a secondary vendor?
Most of the track is official Lego.
Okay.
And then the curves are either...
Oh, you're talking about the radius of the curves.
Yeah.
Is what... Okay. I thought you were changing the width. I was like, you blew my mind when you had first said what the track was. I wasn't connecting two and two. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We use official Lego whenever we can. There are some 3D printed parts and some third-party injection molded parts. Mainly the track, the big curves, because the big trains like the big curves. It makes our batteries last longer. There's fewer derailments.
You were working into derailment when I came to get you.
Yeah. We have a lump in the track, and it's causing the train to skip. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. I don't have a layout at home, so these displays are my playroom, my test bed, my quality control environment, my everything. there's only so much I can do at home because my room is 10 by 11.
Okay.
And
there's not a whole lot of room to get in there.
It's all shelves, and I have one table where I'm building on it. So I can put like 6 lengths of track on. I can run and push the train back and forth and say, all right, this seems to work, but I won't know until I go to the show and look.
Right. Oh, look, it fell. Yeah. It derailed.
Throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So your journey, obviously, to that point, do you find yourself smitten by anything that Lego comes out, whether it be, I don't know, I'm just going to throw stuff out there, like Lego art, the Harry Potter stuff. I mean, is there anything you're like, I could get into that? I can't, but I could get into that.
The one of the things I thought would be really fun would be the Great Ball Contraption. Not necessarily Lego, by Lego, but the fan system.
That experience, yeah.
And I really like that. Like that. I can't bring myself to do it because it's just one other thing.
You're like, my time is already divided. How am I going to accomplish this?
Yeah, my wife collects the Winter Village.
Oh, okay, there we go.
So I'm kind of. She puts up a Winter Village every year, almost every year, and I've thought about getting into that, but then.
Well, you can make your own Winter Village now.
Yeah. And then so I collect. I used to collect lots of different sets and things, and I had to cull it down to. I collect modular buildings, the winter stuff, and most of the idea sets. I really like the idea sets.
Yeah, they've been really...
The Wall-E set is fantastic. The Voltron set.
Yes.
Probably my favorite Lego set in the last, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you with that in mind, have you picked up Santa's Visit yet?
No.
That should have been a day one.
It should have been a day one. I didn't know how much was in my PayPal account.
Oh, okay.
I need to check, and I haven't taken. I was getting ready for this show, so when I get back home, I will
tell you, it is awesome. It is probably one of the best ones they've done in a long time, and they got away from the whimsical and more towards the Americana type style.
Yeah, honestly, it's been several years since I've actually touched any of the Winter Village.
Oh, you leave it to her.
My wife collects them. My son ends up building them because he pesters her until, can I build that? Can I build that? Please, can I build that? And she finally says yes. And so I haven't actually gotten to study them too much. So it's good to know that one's good because it looks good.
There's a brand new print in there. Just saying.
Awesome.
You'll find out. So anybody that is thinking about railroads, thinking about, what, I kind of want to jump into building a Lego train, what words of wisdom would you give them?
Have realistic expectations. Lego train is probably one of the more expensive parts of the hobby because it's not just I'm going to build a train. It's you need the track and you need what goes behind the track.
I got to motorize it.
You got to motorize it, and you got to have all the cars to go behind the train.
Mm-hmm.
I have. One of my most recent builds was an entire what they call a consist. It's the locomotive and the cars. They all match.
Okay.
And it's 10 passenger cars and 2 locomotives, and it costs $100. And I don't want to admit how much I spent on it.
You don't have to.
But I mean, just that one train is. But it is fun. It's a good challenge. It's a kinetic sculpture. You're building a kinetic sculpture,
right.
And there's a distinct challenge to that, especially when you're trying to make something that somebody's going to say, "Oh yeah, that's that," and you can recognize it as being that, and
right.
And then you also have to make sure that it runs and not derails and has reliability, and and there's a trade-off because there are builders who build form over function,
right.
And so they're always having to repair, and then there's the guys who build, vertible bricks that just run, and they can walk away, and it doesn't look as good, but it's got reliability outdoor.
Yeah, right. I was thinking about this earlier, and I've seen trains galore at shows. I think you're the only one that has a train here today. I think y'all are the only ones.
There's one over there. San Antonio.
Okay.
Kurt Beatty has a.
I think I may have seen it. It was a while this morning. talking about the Lego motors and stuff like that, and the power that they do or don't have, what would you like to see change moving forward as far as helping the Lego train enthusiast?
Well, Lego originally had, well, not originally, but for a long time had 9-volt electrified rails. Then they went to power functions, which is what I like. And then they've moved on to the new powered up, which is a Bluetooth.
Right.
It's got some issues, and I would prefer to see them go to radio control.
Okay.
And that would give you more channels and more flexibility. Because with the power functions, I can control 8 trains with one remote simultaneously.
Okay.
And with the powered up, you have to pair that one remote
to
that one train.
hub. Yep.
And that way, with power functions, we can have 3 guys on the layout, each with a remote in our pocket, and we can control any of the trains at any time just by changing the signal. And we now have control over that train.
Right.
You don't have to hunt down that one specific remote that's paired to that one specific train.
Okay.
So I would like to see Lego go to radio control. That would be my preference.
Well, when I send in my stuff from this, I will make sure I put it in there. They want this. Who knows? It might happen. I mean, they're always asking what the AFOL wants. What can we do? What can we help with? Technology hasn't been their strongest suit.
Yeah.
It's been that's been more on the app side, but hopefully for all the train enthusiasts out there, it'll slowly change to improve, make the experience even better. So, Tony, I appreciate you coming on, telling us a little bit about Texas Brick Railroad. Do you guys have a website, social media?
TexasBrickRR.com.
TexasBrickRR.com. They are an official recognized Lego user group. You guys can follow them. If you want to join them, send that all-important email, join the Google group. And hopefully you guys will end up with some more people to join the hobby, because I love watching train layouts. I don't want to build them because of it costs that much, But I love the idea of it. So we are going to take a quick break again, guys. We'll be back here in a few minutes, probably about 3-5 minutes. And we've got a few guests left, so hang tight, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, guys. We've got a few segments left in the day. And the next one up, I'm joined by Brian from Houston
Brick Club?
Houston Brick Club. There's so many. It's like Houston Lego, not Lego, nobody can use Lego, but Houston Plastic Club. Everybody's got their own weird names. Anyway, Brian, thanks for coming on, and I'm going to give you your round of applause for joining us today because
fancy.
Anyway, are you the only one here from Houston?
No.
You said there's a few of you here, right?
There's at least a couple.
So
I'm relatively new to the group. I've been in it for about a year. So
okay.
I also have trouble keeping track of which people are from where because most of that year has been COVID where we've been meeting virtually and you don't always see people's
You're
face.
like, you... Well, and then the other thing is people get in person, you're like, you don't look the same. Who are you?
And we invite the other Texas lugs to our meetings sometimes too. So it's like impossible to keep track.
You're the guy from Dallas. Am I in the right place? Yep. So you guys have some interesting build setup over there.
Yep.
I'm probably going to say it wrong. Is it micro scale?
Yes.
Oh, I was right. I know there's is it the official scale that you guys are using over there?
Maybe I don't know, but the only official scale of micro scale I've heard of is Micropolis, which we are not using.
Okay, so you guys aren't using that,
correct?
But you're using micro scale. You've got two different parts over there. You've got your build that you said that you've done, and then I guess the other collab or whatever.
About 2.5 years ago, I started working on a micro scale build of Houston. And I was like, I don't know what size to build it. So I looked up and I found the Micropolis standard.
Okay.
And I was like, this is going to be too big because I just don't have room for 4-foot tall buildings in my house. My wife will kill me.
Yeah, right.
So I went with half that.
Okay.
And then I was like, I'm going to display it at Fiesta Brick Rodeo, which is the Texlug convention. And they had a session, which this was 2019, so it was the virtual one because of COVID.
Okay.
And I saw on the schedule they had a session for the Micropolis Houston or Microscale Houston that they're building. I was like, oh no, I've been spending 6 months building this thing that they're already doing. And it turned out that theirs was actually about half the scale of mine.
Okay.
So that's what the two builds over there are. One is mine and one is the club. And they're the same city, but they're at two different scales. So it's really kind of neat because it's two different things, but it's the same thing, but they play well together. They
do play well together. I do like the way they look next to each other. So what are some of the buildings that you have over there in there?
So if you're familiar with Houston, you might recognize some of these names. If you're not familiar, then you won't.
Just bring it on. We have a big Texas audience being here in Texas.
The club build is much more comprehensive. We have almost the entirety of what I call inside the triangle, which is Interstate 45, US 59, and Buffalo Bayou I-10.
Okay.
So there's Houston looks like a big bullseye.
Yeah.
So the dead center of that bullseye, we have almost all of it. I think it's about 90% complete at this point.
Okay.
The goal is to finish it and maybe expand it, but COVID slowed us down.
Sure.
And also, Peter, who's the guy who came up with this idea and really planned it out, he moved to Colorado recently. So I am only recently the caretaker and administrator of that project. Most of the credit goes to Peter. But then, so that includes stuff like Minute Maid Park, Toyota Center, the tall skyscrapers in downtown like Wells Fargo and Chase Tower.
Reliant over there?
Reliant is not. That's down towards the medical center, which is...
What is the...
And Reliant is now known as NRG.
What is the... there's a stadium over there.
So there's NRG Park... Which is where the Texans play football.
Yeah.
Which includes the NRG Stadium, which is the Texas Stadium.
That's what it is.
And then the Astrodome is also in that area. They have a convention center arena. So that's south of downtown, about 5 miles. So that's outside of where we're at.
Oh, okay. So what was the one that had the strings going across it? Hanging something from the roof.
So that's my build of the Toyota Center.
Oh, okay.
So that's
I got them mixed up.
That's the basketball arena, which both of us have in our builds, but at different scales. I did the insides of it in mine.
Okay. I couldn't remember which one I saw it on.
That's okay.
But that's really cool. Do you guys... I know being from the DFW area, there's like Dallas Day shows, and there's all kinds of stuff of the history of that region.
Mm-hmm.
if you guys have something like that equivalent to in Houston, is that something like you're like, you know what, we're gonna take this build as a group and display it? And
so Tim, who's the head of our Houston club, he is in touch with all kinds of those people. Mm-hmm. And they constantly are doing requests of like, hey, we're going to have this event. Can you bring something?
Yeah.
So the most recent one before Brick Rodeo, I think, was the Houston Sports Film Festival.
Okay.
Houston Sports Film Festival. So Greg, who's over there with the mosaics,
yeah,
he's from Houston. He did a mosaic of their logo, and I let them borrow the Toyota Center. I couldn't make it myself, so they brought the Toyota Center out there. Didn't end up bringing part of the Micro Houston we were going to.
Okay.
But there have been other. There's been a lot of interest from different places around town about maybe displaying the whole Micro Houston.
Okay.
Just because it's the city.
Yeah, it's a part of the city.
We'll see what actually fleshes out, but. So far, the only thing has been Renee over there. His store over in Katy has had it on display actually for the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
But what was the question again?
Nothing. I was just asking about the build and whether or not you guys are going to plan on taking it to other places. Because
we do actually have a plan to put it on display most of next summer. I don't know if that's been publicly announced yet, so I'm not going to give out the details.
Worries.
But
is that something that, like, if I don't know, the city of Houston approached y'all and said, can we have this to put up in our, I don't know, offices or whatever, or something like that? Would
airport
that be
or city hall?
Yeah, the airport would be really cool.
Not that those things have not actually been thought about. Like, we've always thought, like, oh, it's been cool to do that, or it's been cool to do that. And yeah, so airport, city hall were things we were looking at. Nothing's fleshed out yet. Yeah. Nothing's panned out. So we're working on it, though. And yeah, if they came in, made a request and said, hey, bring it these dates, we would absolutely talk about it and probably display it just if it worked out.
That'd be cool to see in the airport. I've never been to the Houston airport, thank God. But
well, there's the good one, there's the big one.
There's the big one and there's the crappy one.
Hey, I'm a fan of the small one, but, you know.
They could, airports could be labeled as crappy.
Yeah, it's true. One's a lot closer to my house than the other one. So,
but it would be really neat to see that in like a plexiglass case with some lights to it. That would be really neat. I'm thinking like Lego store lighting. You know, they put those, they build the sets and then they have the casing and then with the lights, and you get home and you build something. You're like, it doesn't look as good as it did there.
I mean, yeah, and like if you know, I ran the world and you could build a box and you have all the different landmarks and you have laser pointers that turn on, and like, oh, where's the Toyota Center? And the blue laser pointer points at the Toyota Center.
Right. Endless budget.
Yes.
So are there any, I mean, you've got your build over there. Mm-hmm. What are there anything, other types of mocks you might be working on, or are you sticking to like micro scale?
So I've been doing my micro scale mock for probably about 2.5 years. My thing right now is, so at Brick Rodeo, everyone had their stuff lit and it looked really cool, but I didn't have any of my stuff lit. And so my goal for the rest of this year is to build the soccer stadium in Houston and to have that lit. And so it's the first one I'm working on, thinking about lighting while I'm planning it out.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to have that done by the end of the year.
Okay.
I've got LEDs planned for it. I've got some of that L wire. I went a little overboard and got some of those LED screens from Brick Stuff. So it can play like game highlights on the Jumbotron. So I'm hoping it comes out really cool. But then my goal for probably until the next Brick Rodeo is probably to start working LEDs into the buildings that I already have and try to actually get it lit.
Awesome. That will be neat. I love seeing things lit up, and then when you do like a cityscape like that just, it blows my mind. It's like an architecture set on steroids.
Yeah.
Except better. Let's talk about your Lego journey. Okay. Obviously, it didn't start today.
True facts.
But where did it start? Where did it begin?
Man, you know, I've been building with Legos for literally as long as I can remember. Someone actually just not too long ago asked me what was the oldest set I can remember having.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know if you remember the old Forester's River Crossing. It had this printed base plate. It was a 16 by 32 base plate with a river running down the middle of it flat. But back in the days of, they would actually print white dots on the studs that you had to use. So I looked it up, and I was at a 1990 maybe set.
Okay.
So going through, and I mean, space stuff, and I never had what they call a dark age where I stopped building.
No. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I remember I have an aerospace engineering degree, and I skipped my aircraft structures class to put together the Red Baron set. And I'm like, I'm building an aircraft. I'm studying this hands-on. Like, that counts, right?
Don't you know that I have more important things to do right now? That is awesome.
So yeah, I've all the way through. I'm not like huge into Star Wars. I've got a couple of the UCS stuff, but yeah, I've never really put it down. It's always been there. But the mock stuff has been much more recently in the last, I'll say, 4 to 5 years that I've gotten into the mock stuff.
Okay.
So like my first big one was I have a big 88 by 256 stud.
Oh dear God!
Map of the original Legend of Zelda Hyrule.
Oh my goodness!
Up on the wall, and I think it's about 6.5 feet long. So like,
where is that hung?
So it was on my youngest son's bedroom wall.
Okay,
it's still on that wall, but with COVID and working from home, we had to convert that room into the office. So it's still on the wall, but it's now up above my desk.
Okay, so that's awesome. So with that, what kind of backing did you use for it? Did you use the new art style plating?
No, so this was before that even happened.
All right.
What I did for the backing, so I did Technic brick plate.
Okay.
So it's got that as the backing all
so
the way
it's
across
got the idea of it, yeah.
Yeah, and on the borders, I did a double layer of Technic brick side by side pinned together and offset, so it made it nice and sturdy. And,
sure.
But what I left a gap in the bottom or in the backmost plate up near the top, right below the Technic bricks. So I screwed a 1x2 to the wall, and then I slotted the mock onto the wall over top of that and screwed down through the Technic bricks on top into the board.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Well, and you're hand gesturing how it's working and stuff. People at home are be like, "Yep, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. That works. Oh, I got an idea. I can do that next."
Yeah.
Lego minds think alike.
Yeah, so it let me span 3 studs and get nice securely mounted, and it hasn't moved in a couple of years, so
it will withstand an earthquake.
It's stayed sturdy longer than my UCS Star Destroyer, which has that nose droop coming down. I don't know if anybody else has experienced the nose droop on the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, it's not anything new. I think there's a lot of people cringing at the thought of that right now. So, your Lego journey there to that point, do you find yourself gravitating towards buying modulars or Tony had just said, Winter Village stuff? Do you find yourself gravitating towards that and you have your mock stuff, but also kind of that as well?
About the only sets I buy anymore are anything NASA related.
Okay.
So I have the ISS, I have the Lunar Lander, Saturn V, the
Discovery.
Love them. If it's got the NASA logo on it, I'm going to shell out the money.
Well, it's not going away.
I hope
there will be more coming.
I hope so.
There will be.
But other than that, most of my money goes to Bricklink for my mock stuff.
Bricklink is just it's a necessary evil.
It is.
It really is.
Especially the shipping costs are super evil, but once again, super necessary.
But if you need it, where else are you going to get it?
Yep.
You know what? There's this green brick. What is it? The sand green. I need a 1x8 sand green. Well, somebody in Germany has 1,000 of them. It's going to cost you $1,000 and then another $500 to ship it.
When I was working on one of my parks, I was just using Studio, and I'm just throwing different colors of green to make the grass, a little bit variety, whatever. And I throw it on Bricklink, why does this thing cost $500? There's this thing's 3 inches tall,
right?
And it's one color of green, where the 1x1 plates are $2 each. And I'm like, nope, we could change that out.
Yep, not gonna work. Yeah, Lego is like, Bricklink, let's scoop you up. Let's make some of that on the back end as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about that? I mean, being somebody that's a big mocker, I know there was a lot of complaining at the time when they said, oh, yeah, we're buying Bricklink. So what did you think at that point in time?
So I've never sold anything on Bricklink. I've never been in the back end. I'm just a user on the purchase side. I haven't seen a difference. I don't feel like it's impacted me at all. I'm kind of like, oh, I wonder if Lego would ever sell, parts on Bricklink for cheaper. But I'm like, I also don't want them to like put all the other people out of business.
Right.
So I don't know. I haven't seen an impact. I don't know. Maybe it has been, and I just haven't noticed it.
Everybody has their own perspective and experience, and I figured I'd ask. We got on the topic because it's plastic's expensive.
I've seen a lot of talk on different blogs and whatever about that, and I just like, sure, okay, I haven't noticed anything.
No idea what you're talking about.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. What if you had to choose a theme or a set? It could be nostalgia related.
Okay.
What would you say through your time in Lego would be your favorite?
Ooh,
it's got to be one.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's themes and then there's sets, and clearly, like I just said anything NASA related, like I'm gonna buy.
Okay.
So if we're talking a theme, the Saturn V is really well done.
Yeah.
I thought that was a
new
fun
version
build.
or old version?
New.
Okay.
The new Discovery was a lot of fun to put together, except
Yes,
for
it
those
was.
stupid radiator stickers.
Yeah, those are. Everybody's like, why couldn't you print them?
Yeah, let's put a sticker on the inside of a concave surface that has raised printing on one end of it that you can't see.
There's a lot of people right now screaming at their speaker right now, like, I know. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I totally understand that one. I like that build. That was probably my favorite space build to this point, just because of everything that comes with it. I mean, you don't just have the shuttle itself; you have the satellite that comes with it.
Hubble. I guess it's a
it's a satellite. Yeah,
it counts.
We were talking to the aerospace guy here.
I
do. I had a doctor earlier. We got you.
Yep.
Man, all kind of education in here today. Well, somebody that's thinking about getting into microscale, like a lot of people do. A lot of people jump in. They gravitate from somewhere else and jump in and are like, that's really cool. I could do that. What kind of words of wisdom would you give them?
So the first thing I say is microscale is great because you can do a lot with not a lot of pieces. You can make it as little or as big as you want, so a lot of people have a lot of fun because it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be super cheap.
Yeah.
The first bit of advice is you just need to decide what level of detail you're happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could spend days. I have spent days fighting over how the corner of some tower is going to look, and I just can't make it look right because I'm copying real buildings and blah, blah, blah. But at some point, you just got to say, nope, that's good enough for me, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Pick a scale that you want, that you like, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can use normal bricks, you can use the fancy bricks, but yeah, the biggest advice is just, if you're happy with it, that's good enough.
Yeah, I would agree. Start. The big thing that I always hear, the common theme that I always hear is follow your heart and don't worry about what anybody else thinks, because people are still going to love it.
Yeah.
You're more critical on yourself than anybody else. Nobody's walking over to your booth and saying, that sucks.
No.
What is that? I don't even...
And there's a ton of places to get ideas from, be it the internet, be it your local group.
Yeah.
So I had never touched landscaping before today because luckily Houston is incredibly flat.
Okay.
So I can do it all at one level and it looks just like the real thing.
Sure.
But there is a river that runs on the north side of downtown, and someone had beautifully landscaped the bank down to the river.
Okay.
But it hadn't been finished yet. So I'm like, I got to fill this in. That'd be a good thing for me to work on here while I'm sitting talking to folks walking past.
Right.
And so I looked at what the other folks had done. I tried to copy it, and I'm like, I got to a point where I'm happy with how this came out. This is the first time I'd ever tried to do it. I'm like, it's good enough for me. And that's, like I said, that's what matters. Maybe in 6 months I'll look at it and go, no, not up to my level now, and I can fix it.
Yep.
That's the great thing about Lego. I've been telling everybody today is like, if it breaks, I can fix it. I can put it back together. Like, and that's just, if it's not good enough for what I want it, I can look at it later and be like, no, I'm going to do it a different way. I can take it apart and fix it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we are going to... I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good to... where can people find the Houston Brick Club?
Brick Club. If they Google it, there is a website.
Okay.
Our actual conversations go on in our Google group, but you have to be invited to that.
Obviously,
And there's also a Facebook page too, I believe, but I don't actually go on Facebook anymore.
All right. Well, Brian, I appreciate you coming on and chatting, and I'm sure I'll see you around at another Texas convention again somewhere in the future.
Hope
So, guys, we're going to take another quick break. We've got 2 more guests left in the day, and then we are done at Bricks Killeen for the year, believe it or not, and I guess we'll wait for it again next year. So hang tight, guys, and we'll be back in a moment. right, guys. We are about to close out the final hour for Bricks Killeen, the final hour for the show. We are joined by Mr. Short again, except you guys only heard 2 or 3 minutes of the first go-round because there was a tech glitch. But he is back to join me and has been kind enough to come back on and spill all his knowledge from the Grasshopper Squadron builds that he has. Welcome again, even though I talked to you this morning.
It's good to talk to you.
We'll just go wherever you want to go because we already had this conversation this morning, and I feel so bad because, guys, he went on this long, amazing journey of describing what's the plane? The Doolittle Raid plane in front of us, and y'all didn't get to hear it, but if you want to go into it again, you can definitely go into it again. But your Grasshopper Squadron, you have... Remind me of the scale again. I think I said it wrong earlier.
So all of my Grasshopper Squadron or Battling Bricks aircraft are in 1 to 120th scale.
I was right then. I said it right. I just couldn't spit it out the right way. I said it was 1/120th. It just didn't come out right.
So that didn't come from me. When I rediscovered Lego about 4 or 5 years ago, I stumbled across Brickmania's Micro Brick Battle. And when I discovered Micro Brick Battle, I was trying to figure out what are these things to scale, and most of them are, or to some degree are. And I finally saw something that said 120th, and I was like, okay, I can try to figure that out.
Can roll with it.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier, I know we got to redo this, the way that you went about getting these things to that scale. Can you walk us through that process?
So I built stuff when I was a kid, and I was pretty picky back then. My dad took me to air shows when I was little, and I was always a big World War II aircraft fan. Built scale models, scratch-built models out of wood and other things. And as I was getting back into Lego, I started realizing that, wooden models and other things just aren't compatible with 3-year-olds.
No.
So now I have a 5-year-old and a almost 8-year-old. And Lego's the best thing for them right now.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a good time in the life of a kid to learn how to build things, get the motor skills.
It's a good thing they have a dad that's into it.
But I also like things to look realistic.
Yeah.
So I actually start by looking up blueprints. I have a pretty massive collection of books and things that have 3-view drawings.
I was going to ask you where you get them from.
So 3-view drawings are really super important. You can get them online nowadays, and you can find graphics that you can easily download and import into your favorite graphics. I have a grid in a program called Inkscape that I have, and I go and find the dimensions of the aircraft. Let's say a P-51's wingspan, and its fuselage length and its height, and I plug those into a website. I think it's studs.serial.pl. It's a really fun little scaling website, and it'll tell you, a 30-foot long item for 120th scale should be so many studs long. And I'll plug that into Bricklink Studio, and then it's all about trying to find the right proportions that work. Sometimes you can use offset techniques to move a half stud up or a half stud back, or flip the direction of your build. But there are limitations. So there are a few of my aircraft that may not look 100% accurate, but I'm looking for a design that will give you a visual representation of the aircraft. You can look at it and say, oh, I know what that is.
You've done a very good job, because post our conversation this morning, I had gotten on the internet and I was just going through old WW2 aircraft, and I was like, I saw that over there. And then, okay, let me back up. Sorry, I'm getting on a tangent. I'm excited because I think I know more this time around. I know, you just laughed like, no, you don't.
No, I bet you do.
No. So you go ahead, you build them, and I want to talk about the Doolittle plane because you went through it before, but oh my God, just when you were talking about it the first time, I'm thinking the movie Pearl Harbor. Like that's where my reference is coming from. And I know it's
chick flick.
Yeah, it's but that's where
if you're really a fan, it's Tora.
Tora. Okay, that's where my reference is coming from. So I was like, okay, I see that.
So there's two better movies that cover what Pearl Harbor covers. One is Tora, and we could talk about that with the Grasshopper Squadron planes.
Yeah.
But 30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
There it
is a great classic movie from the 1940s about Ted Lawson and his crew and their survival after the Tokyo raid. Nowadays, it's often referred to as the Doolittle raid, but back then it was often the Tokyo raid. The reason I think that's important, for a number of reasons. I've been invested in the Doolittle raid story for a long time. I grew up in San Antonio, and I knew a good number of the surviving Doolittle raiders. There were 80 men that went on the mission, and until probably about 10 years ago, there were still 16 or 20 of them with us.
Okay.
I knew Mr. Cole, and I knew... I'm going to choke up here. David Thatcher was actually on Crew 7 with Ted Lawson from 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, and I got to meet him. And Herb Mesha and Charles Ozuk was actually on... I think Charles Ozuk was actually on Robert Gray's crew. And we're right here in Killeen today, and the Killeen military base has Robert Gray Army Airfield.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
So Robert Gray Army Airfield is right here in Killeen, and it's really appropriate that it's here in Killeen because Robert Gray grew up right here in Killeen. And he had a pet donkey when he was growing up, according to what I've read, called Whiskey Pete. And when he went into the Air Force, his aircraft became known as Whiskey Pete. So he was the pilot. Well, he was in the 17th Bomb Group, 95th Bomb Squadron, and they were the Kicking Mules. And the 17th Bomb Group was the most experienced bomb group that had B-25s in the whole Air Force because they'd had them the longest. And so when Jimmy Doolittle had figured out that the B-25 was the aircraft he wanted to use to take off of an aircraft carrier and bomb Japan right after Pearl Harbor, and remember, December 1941 to April 1942 is only 5 months. So this is a very quickly executed plan. So he went to the 17th Bomb Group and asked for volunteers. And Robert Gray was one of the volunteers, and they trained on how to take off in extremely short runway conditions. And they were given the green light, and they flew to San Francisco, loaded up on the USS Hornet, which is the other model I have that you're probably thinking about.
Sitting over there, yeah.
And they were surprised by a Japanese picket boat, so they actually took off early, but they did accomplish their mission. Robert Gray's crew flew off of the deck of the Hornet onto mainland of the island of Japan, bombed the targets they were supposed to bomb in Tokyo, and then flew on to China, where they were anticipating that they would land at a particular airfield and continue on fighting the Japanese. Well, as it turned out, the beacon in China never was turned on, and they couldn't find the airfield, and they had to take off early, so they didn't have enough gas, so they all ended up either crash landing or bailing out.
Yeah, okay.
And so Robert Gray was one of the crews that one of the men that actually stayed in China to keep fighting the Japanese, and he fought, I believe, until November, if I remember correctly, of 1942, when he was killed in action.
Okay.
But being that this is Bricks Killeen and this is his hometown, I thought it'd be especially appropriate to honor him today.
It's fitting. It really is. And I didn't know any of that. So getting the history behind it, and then, I mean, we are right here in Killeen, not probably more than a stone's throw from the base. I don't think it's that far from here. That is really cool. So I didn't get an opportunity to talk to you about this earlier when nobody heard it. Your Hornet mock-up over there, is that to a scale as well?
So that's not mine.
Okay.
The Hornet is actually Brick Ship's Designs. He's at the booth next to me.
Oh, he's down there. Okay.
Gregory's a friend of mine. I saw some of his designs on Bricklink, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, hey, that's a really good design. Do you think you could do this? Do you think you could do that? And he started really going crazy with it. And he's made a lot of really, really excellent ships. And frankly, my stuff's hard because it's small and you want to make it look accurate with a few pieces. His stuff is these massive ships. So that's a 1 to 300 scale USS Hornet. Now, because we're friends, I've collabed with him on it, so I built a lot of the planes that are on the deck, and I've done my own modifications because, frankly, this is the only one of that Hornet that's currently built. Right. So he's like, hey, here's the plans, and I was like, all right, I'm going to build this eventually. And so I've modified this and that, but it's his design, and it's a good thing, and his stuff is excellent as well.
His stuff is really cool. I haven't spent enough time down there today, but it is, I'm really impressed by all these military SBLs. You got some more that are over on the other table across the other alley. There's a lot, and I know when you go to a convention, there's a lot of people that get really jazzed about that kind of stuff. And I mean, we have 2 people in our lug that do specifically like tanks, planes from current, old, and I'm just blown away by it every single time. Being a veteran and being on the air side of the Marine Corps, anytime somebody makes an FA-18 mock, and I'm like, like I know that thing inside and out and backwards, so I'm like, oh, that's my baby. So, right. But I like the old history stuff. I mean, it's the greatest generation, and you have the. Do you have all of them or majority of the aircraft?
Oh, no, I'm not anywhere close to finishing. But there's a lot of aircraft. There's a lot of aircraft that just frankly don't lend themselves to looking great in Lego. So I've got a lot of requests from people for things that I'm not ready to build. And one of the reasons is especially tapered wings. Lego's tapered selection of bricks just doesn't always lend to making a good design. So I'm doing this mainly for my kids. Like, I like to come home and surprise my son with a new one. But at the same time, I'm not really interested in building something I don't like the way it looks.
There was somebody else that was talking about that earlier. It was Matt down there on the end with the big
spaceship
Yamato or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah. But he was saying the same thing. Like, that's what he used to do. He would create like little Star Wars builds or something like it. Something small similar to that. And his kids, would wake up the next day and be like, it's something new. So that's really it's a family thing. It's a toy at the end of the day, but it's a family thing, and it's really cool. Have your kids started to kind of tinker along with you, or?
Yeah, we did the creative build here last night.
Okay, yeah.
And my son's little glider looked pretty decent for a 5-year-old. It's as good as anything I would have built when I was 5.
Yeah, you're proud.
Yeah.
Is it displayed?
It is actually over
there. Is it
there.
really?
Yeah. It's over there with the group build. It's one of the fewest parts usage, but you can tell what it is, and it's got all the major features. And
it has the concept of being functional.
And he knew that it didn't have an engine, so he said it had to be a glider.
That is impressive. I talked to a few kids that were down the way with their Star Wars builds and stuff, and they just blow me away with the knowledge that they have. No, Dad, it's got to be a glider because it doesn't have an engine. All right. Well, we talked a little bit about your Lego journey in the beginning of this, where you did it as a kid and stuff like that. Do you have any desire to, find other builders, like you said, with the ships down the way, and create like a bigger or a large scale scene, like a battle scene, something from a certain moment in history?
Well, I was actually disappointed. I sometimes work with a couple of the other designers at Omaha Bricks, where some of my designs are for sale. And some of them are much better at scenery. Kilfrost Jan is actually really good at houses and buildings, and Samuel is too. Seabricks, Chris Bricks Tutorials, some people may know. He's done a really nice little mock of street in Holland or something like that. And I'm just not as good at building the houses and things, but it's also not my thing.
Yeah.
I actually was about 2/3 done with a airfield control tower, but I just ran out of time with work this time around.
Sure.
So maybe next time I'll have an airfield scenario rather than just a display.
Well, I mean, you are a pilot, so I mean, it's only fitting to have an airfield for aircraft and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. I'd love to see something like that.
And I actually have done some other things, like about 6 or 7 of the vehicles over there are my vehicles. Like I made a little landing vehicle tracked DUKW, like one of the ducks.
Okay.
I've got some little howitzers and bulldozer, and they're all the same scale as well.
Yeah.
Little farm tractor.
I got to ask, does your wife get involved? Is it not her thing?
Well, that's not my wife. That's my sister.
No, not your... does your wife get involved with anything like that?
I got a family situation that I wish.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
See? Look, I treaded the wrong water.
It's okay.
Anyway.
I love my kids, and I'm really happy for the time I get to spend with them.
It's always good to see parents with their kids at Lego. And I know the Lego table pit thing down on the other side around the corner here is full of people, or was full of people. They've been behind me all day. So that's really cool.
Well, the big thing is you don't know what life's going to throw at you, but the relationships are the important thing. And I've been actually really encouraged, especially lately in the military Lego community, that, like Greg and I, the Brick Ships Designs, the guy that helped me with the Hornet, and I've both worked with Brick Mania.
Oh, yeah.
And several others of us have worked together with the Omaha Bricks team. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things people don't realize, is that collaborative stuff can really be fun. Like the Omaha Bricks team, when we're looking at designs, a lot of times we throw something up and say, hey, what do you think of this? And somebody's like, oh, change that, do this.
Right.
And you need a dose of humility, because sometimes somebody's got a really great idea.
Yeah.
It was a lot better than yours. And trying to keep, especially with the Omaha Bricks team, we try to make sure that everything is buildable and everything is buyable. So there's rare parts out there, but we try really hard to make sure that the parts aren't so rare that you can't obtain them if you want to build it.
That's awesome. I'm intrigued by a lot of those builds sitting over there. The scale ones, obviously the larger ones, which I can't even imagine. If you had to ballpark it, maybe not. Okay. Ballpark it, what your Doolittle plane over there would go to create it to that detail.
So as you know, I have 2 of them over there. I have one on the end corner, and I have another B-25B down there with the rest of the Brick Mania builds. And next to the Allied Bricks Waco glider. I think I could build it cheaper now than I could when I did.
Okay.
Because I've actually changed some parts out.
Yeah, of course.
And I've actually found some ways to cheapen it. But roughly between $180 and $300, depending on the... And
it's actually not that bad.
People don't realize the BrickLink market kind of goes up and down, depends on
sure does.
Who's building what. Somebody may grab all of the bricks you want for the price you wanted. And if you have to have it now, you're going to have to pay the price, the parts price, what's available. If you're patient, you can build it for less. Yeah. And then, of course, there's other great places like Bricks and Minifigs.
Yep.
I'm a real huge fan of Bricks and Minifigs Plano. And I go and sit at the pick tables, and I've got a pretty good idea of what are good parts to get nowadays. Mm-hmm. So you can get a grab bag, for $35 or something. Yeah. And that will significantly cut down your costs if you have a mental idea of what you need to get.
Yeah. You can kind of run it through and figure out, this is my list ahead of time.
Absolutely.
So with all your builds, obviously you're up in the DFW area as well, as myself. Do you plan on attending any kind of local shows that are up there that maybe aren't necessarily just full-fledged Lego, but maybe something with an aviation show or something like that? Do you have any ideas or any aspirations to go and do something like that?
Well, I work a lot of weekends, so this is kind of a real super rare thing for me.
Oh, yeah.
And with my kids, I really want to make sure I spend a lot of time with them. I was happy that this seemed like an event I could really share with them.
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to more conventions or other things, but I've got a pretty diverse amount of things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Some weekends I fly with students as a flight instructor with Tailwheel, and some weekends I'm working for my boss. So
right,
whatever works.
When you have time, right? When you get to fit it in.
Right, and the main thing is I do enjoy sharing the designs with other people. A lot of these are pretty cheap, like even like $3 to $7 at Omaha Bricks.
Mm-hmm.
So if I enjoy building it with my son, and then somebody else can benefit from getting to build
Same
it,
thing.
or even play a game, like the micro brick battle game with it, then it's great. And occasionally I make enough money in a month off of PayPal
right
to buy parts for another build.
That's what it comes down to, yeah.
It works out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I see your daughter over there traipsing about, kind of like...
oh, she's fine.
I'm all alone. But where can people find you? I did not get to that part. Where can people find you?
So a lot of my designs I post on Instagram, Grasshopper Squadron. And that's about my only social media. I do actually have the grasshoppersquadron.com website, which is currently still kind of under development. This was originally going to be part of a bigger thing that I don't know if I'll ever get off the ground, but my thought was to actually to work with some specific groups that I have in mind to provide maybe a set of free instructions in a paid or sponsored newsletter that would help certain kinds of organizations.
Yeah.
And my thought was that would be kind of a value add for families that might otherwise not be interested.
Sure.
I'm friends with several people in the Warbird community, and I was hoping it would eventually be a bridge. I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen. But so that's kind of where the Grasshopper Squadron came from. Both my involvement with liaison aircraft, which were World War II Grasshoppers, but then the old concept of hey there, Grasshopper, when you're talking to a young person. So I don't know if it'll go farther than it is right now, and it might go beyond Lego to things like the wooden models I used to build when I was a kid.
Sure.
But for now, grasshoppersquadron.com and omahabricks.com has most of my designs. There's the P-38 miniature at Brickmania is mine, and there may be other future designs out there. So
awesome. Well, you guys make sure you go. He is an active guy. At least he's been active today on Instagram. A lot of stuff popping out from his multiple display tables. So go give him a follow. Time you like his stuff, go check out on omahabricks.com and get yourself a model of your own, right?
Yeah, instructions.
Instructions, not the model.
Yeah, we don't.
You're not a brick.
That.
You're not a brick retailer. But
I did actually bring a couple of B-25 kits here, and also I did bring a very special, custom ordered from Europe Lego minifigure of Robert Gray, trying to help out folks that might be interested in the hometown hero.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we've got one more segment left, so hang tight. We're going to head into a break real quick, and we'll be back here in about 5 or 6 minutes. All right, guys, we're back for the final segment of Bricks Killeen 2021. Feels like it's 2022. It's been like forever. We just got done talking military. We're going to talk some more military. I have my good buddy Greg here, and Greg has a bunch of floating military vessels that he's got over on his table. So, Greg, I'm glad to have you on. Let's give you your round of applause here. Hey, everybody! Yeah. But tell us a little bit about what you got going on over there.
All right, so I've got basically a pretty hefty fleet of Lego battleships and such, along with a couple planes here and there. But I kind of specialize in the World War I, World War II area.
Sure.
And there's a couple that are, earlier than that or after that or whatever. But, I have just a bunch of small scale, little, well, not little, but like foot and a half long battleships and stuff. So
they are pretty, for being what you consider little, they're still of decent proportion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you compare them to like tanks and planes and all that.
Yeah.
The scale that you're talking about with ships.
Yeah.
They're easily just as many pieces as, say, a 135 scale tank or plane or whatever, if not more, at 1/500 scale, which is my typical.
So you do 1/500 is what you try and roll with?
Yeah.
Okay.
1/500 is kind of my standard. A couple of ones I have here today are 1/400.
Okay.
I have one 1/300 and one 1/350.
Okay.
The 1/350 is it's the battleship Bismarck.
Okay.
I actually built that for Brickmania. It is a kit you can get through Brickmania.
Okay.
And then I also have a battleship Arizona in the same scale coming out in December.
Oh, man. Through Brickmania.
Through Brickmania, yeah.
Okay.
So,
I had a chance to talk to, is it Dan from Brickmania?
Siskind? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan. I always want to call him. I met him, and I had an interview with him right here on the show. We were live in Nebraska Brick Days at the end of July. So, and he had said, he's got a bunch of different people that'll come up with an idea or whatever, do a mock, and then they'll, anyway. So that is really cool. So what is the one over here that I'm looking at that has the red underbelly?
So, a bunch of them have a red underbelly. So that's just kind of the color that the anti-fouling paint is.
Okay.
A specific one you're talking about, I think, is the Koenig.
It's
a German World War I battleship. So essentially, it has 5 turrets, 5 twin turrets, served with the Imperial German Navy. Specifically participated in the Battle of Jutland, which is the largest largest naval battle between battleships of all time.
Okay.
It consisted of pretty much the entire Royal Navy's battle fleet lineup against the entire German Navy's battle fleet lineup. Probably 60 or 70 battleships and battle cruisers, not including all the little ships. These are just the big gun ships.
Yeah. Okay.
So just imagine 60 or 70 ships of that size that are, 600-700 feet long, fighting each other.
Just going at it.
Yeah, just
giant
going
sea
ham
battle
on each other. Yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Tactically, the British lost. Strategically, the Germans lost because the whole goal was for Germany to break the blockade. Failed and then surrendered a couple years later.
Sure.
So the Koenig specifically, it participated in that battle and then a couple other, much more minor skirmishes. At the end of the war, after Germany surrendered, got sailed over to the British base at Scapa Flow, and it was interred there along with the rest of the German high seas fleet. And then after they got wind, it ended up being false, but the German commander believed that the British were going to try and storm the ships and seize them, so they all got scuttled.
Okay.
They all sank their own ships. And the Koenig is actually one of the few that's still there.
All right.
You can actually go and dive on it.
That's not something that I want to do, but...
it's like, I'm not... Don't really want to go dive on a battleship. It's like I think they've taken out all the bad things that could cause issues, but
yeah, right,
would still be a
right.
Not my thing.
Yeah, I get it. I'm good. I don't want to be underwater. Yeah. But you've got a bunch of others. What is the scale of that one? The one
the Koenig is 1/400.
1/400.
So that's one
okay.
of the 1/400 ones I have because that's a World War I era kind of ship. Yeah.
So where do you? I mean, what motivates you to decide to? Hey, I'm going to build this ship, or I'm going to build that ship.
So that is pretty much what that comes down to. Pretty much whatever I want to build.
Okay.
A lot of the time, it's just what I think looks pretty.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because of the history of the ship. It's like I have two models of the same ship here. It's called the Yorgos Averof.
Okay.
Which, if any of you know me off of Instagram or whatever, I'm Brick Ships Designs. But if any of y'all know me, y'all know that I'm obsessed with the Averof. It's a Greek armored cruiser that, on its first cruise, the crew actually revolted. Because,
really?
Yeah, it was. They landed they made port in France, and the French gave them blue cheese, and they're a bunch of Greeks, so they got angry that they were served moldy cheese.
Okay.
So they revolted. It had a whole. It's basically the equivalent of the USS Constitution to us, to the Greeks.
Yeah.
In fact, it's actually still ceremonially commissioned.
Okay.
It's the only ship of its type still in existence, too.
yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, it's just that.
Just rolling with whatever really.
Yeah, I just roll with whatever I enjoy building.
Okay. So let me ask this: how long have you been undertaking ship builds?
Okay, so that's kind of a hard question to answer.
More modern to scale builds.
To scale, well, I'm one of the few, I think, who built kind of to scale from day one.
Okay.
I was 10 years old and doing math to figure out scales. But the current generation, so most of my ships, I think all of my modern ones use snot.
Okay.
I build the central frame and then build out from that, right?
Yeah.
So those I first started in, I'd say January 2017.
Okay.
That's kind of what I consider the first kind of modern generation of my ships. So, and then they've obviously expanded since then.
Yeah, I would say. So, do you keep them? How many did you bring today? Ballpark, if you can't remember specific.
Probably 8 to 12
of
those specifically.
So, do you just leave that stuff together, or from time to time are you like, you know what? No, I'm going to rip this apart, or do you just keep everything built?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So some ships I have. Probably 3 or 4 more at home that have been kind of they will be retired, and then a couple of ships that I have here today. This is probably going to be the last public appearance because I've got newer and updated versions that I'm going to eventually build.
Sure. New parts, new techniques.
Yeah, new parts, new scale.
New scale.
A lot of the World War I vintage that are the 1/400. I'm actually rebuilding to be scaled with the rest of my ships.
Okay.
So that, granted, I have so many of those, it's going to be probably a couple of years before I get
to
them. But
absolutely.
But yeah, so I've got some that are in the process of being scrapped. I had an old Bismarck that is currently being rebuilt into a new version of the Bismarck, and there's a couple different instances of that here and there. I do still have the first 2 ships that I ever built. That I ever designed that I actually built in real life. Mm-hmm. Just because, sometimes it's fun to look back and say, hey, I started here.
Right.
And now I'm here, right? So I have my original USS Texas and then my very first design for the Averof.
Okay.
So those 2 are probably not going anywhere.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you this.
All right.
Would you, or have you considered, I don't know how many other people build ships scale wise and stuff like that. But have you thought about potentially doing something like I asked Mr. Grasshopper across the way? Mm-hmm. Would you join somebody and do like a collab build where you go to like Brick Rodeo, next year and say, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create this. We're going to set up this battlefield, kind of like not battlefield, but
like ocean scene.
Big ocean scene, something like. Have you thought about something like that? I don't know how many builders there are similar to you.
There are a couple different builders that are similar to me. There's Brickstips.ch
mm-hmm.
who builds in a very I build one 500, he builds one 485.
Okay.
So pretty dang close to each other. He's over in Switzerland though, so don't know if I've done a couple digital collabs before.
Okay.
It's like I did a Doolittle raid
okay.
collab with the Hornet for that one. You can actually see
that's
here.
Exactly where he had brought you into the conversation.
Grasshopper Squadron actually ended up building my Hornet and has it on display over here.
Yeah.
I've done. I've got a project in the works where I'm teaming up with Brickstips.ch, KH Bricks on Instagram, because he started doing some 1-500 ships as well.
Okay.
I have a couple with them where I'm actually we're trying to set up a standard dockyard setup.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have like standardized dockyard for our 1-500 and 145 ships.
That makes sense.
I do have plans for dioramas next year. I'm not.
Where could we see them? Brick Rodeo?
Brick. At the moment, I am planning on Brick Rodeo.
Okay.
If we're doing Bricks Killeen again next year, which based on the turnout today,
it's been a lot of people.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if we have it again next year.
Yeah.
So I would assuming that works out, I will be back here next year most likely.
Awesome.
Assuming nothing changes, and then actually I'm hoping. A lot can change.
Yeah,
but I'm
of
hoping
course.
to actually get out to Brick Fair, Virginia next year, too.
Yes, I wanted to go there, but it was... So, did you go to Brick Rodeo this year?
Yes,
okay.
I was there.
So, Brick Rodeo, Nebraska Brick Days, which I was asked to go to
mm-hmm.
and do live show there over that weekend. They were the same weekend, and then Brick Fair, Virginia was the following weekend. I was like, I can't do back-to-back major shows. It would have been... If it would have been in Texas, Brick Rodeo...
That would have been workable.
Oh man! But that's my goal next year, to get up to Brick Fair, Virginia.
Yeah, I'm hoping that.
Yeah, I mean that's a big, the naval yard
exactly.
out there.
That's part of why
that's like the motherland.
There.
You got to go
not
there.
Far from Newport News.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
that's part of why I want to go out there.
Go take a tour, a stroll down, and check out all the new ships that are being built. That's pretty cool.
I've got a couple friends that go out there every year. So
there's a reason.
Hopefully, So hopefully, we'll see
drive
how
your way
things
up
work
there. Well, I guess you would have to drive to take all your mods.
Yeah, that's.
They're not putting them on a plane.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about your Lego journey.
Right.
Well, before we do that, where I know you mentioned it in passing real quick. Where can people find you on socials?
So social media, I am Brick Ships Designs.
Okay.
That's on Instagram. I have a Flickr.
Okay.
I don't really mess with Flickr that
Yeah, I don't
much.
think most people do.
It's kind of fallen by the wayside, which
yeah.
kind of stinks because, I was not really involved with the community back in the heyday of Flickr.
Yeah, sure.
But it seems like Instagram is kind of where everybody's at nowadays, so you can find me at Brick Ships Designs over there.
Okay. Brick Ships Designs. If I didn't butcher that coming out of my mouth as my jaw is falling asleep. With that in mind, let's talk about your Lego journey, because you're a younger chap. You're not, some of the guys that are here that have been doing this for 50 years. You know, some guys have been at it a long time. So talk to me a little bit about your Lego journey and where you are, you've gotten to this point.
So, it started when
you popped out of the womb, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, it was not long after that. I remember I think my first, it wasn't even a Lego set, but it was a compatible Lego
Oh,
set,
jeez,
right?
my ears.
But it was an ambulance, and it was like fire truck and all that.
Okay, yeah.
And it kept falling apart on me.
Okay.
And my dad had to build it. I was that young still. I wasn't even building my own I wasn't building my own
right.
Legos yet. My dad had to build it for me. But very quickly that morphed into a love for,
Of course.
And I've always loved building things. So pretty quickly that morphed into me having a giant Lego collection, and then, I've always been interested in history.
Yeah.
I've always been, I had a gigantic Lego fleet at one point. It was little itty bitty ships, but ships with quotations around it.
Yeah.
But
what you would call a ship at the time.
Yeah,
it's like when a 5-year-old brings you their design, you're like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's like a 5 or 6-year-old. It's like,
it's a couple blades. Look at my ship.
Yeah. But
what am I saying? Because when you were 10, you were already breaking down scales, so it couldn't have been that crappy.
Well, no, it was literally just a couple 2x4 bricks that were stapled together. Nothing super special, but it did not take long before I started actually, trying to build proper scale models and all that. I think, honestly, I was probably about the same scale way back then, but I was more eyeing it and things like that.
Okay,
I'd get length.
Yeah.
Didn't even worry about width at that point. I just do get the right length, 6 stud wide, bam, good to go, right?
Done.
So then I had a dark age. I don't know exactly, as
some people do, some people don't.
Yeah, it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
I started back into it, I think I mentioned in January 2017 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Started with ships, and my first kind of public documentation of that was I started uploading stuff to the Bricklink gallery.
Okay.
Which I'm sure most everybody here knows what Bricklink is at least. So that's actually how I met Grasshopper Squadron over here.
Okay.
So he emailed me about my USS Texas.
Yeah.
Because, he's Texan.
Yeah, of course.
So we kind of built up a relationship through email at that point, which doesn't really happen too often anymore.
No, it doesn't.
I think it, social media and stuff, but email is kind of a odd one now.
It's kind of dying.
Yeah. But so we built up that relationship, and, I kept improving as time went on. And then eventually Ryan put me in touch with Chris over at Omaha Bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't know, it's a European company,
Yeah.
Lego Instructions.
Yeah.
So I actually released a bunch of my ships through them for a while. Just the instruction form, no kits or anything yet. And then after a bit with them, I left and joined Brick Meets Design. After a bit with them, I ended up leaving them as well, and now I actually have my own site. I don't actually sell the instructions. I sell the Lego Digital Designer files, and studio files, and all that.
Sure.
Just because instructions, making the instructions.
If
you've talked to anybody who has made instructions, everybody, I can't think of a single person I have met who actually enjoys making instructions.
Well, believe it or not, I was doing a review for something.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been that. And there is a part in one of the instructions where it was having me build something, and the step that was supposed to be there to make the current step I was building wasn't there.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah,
it's a rarity. So even the pros screw up. So I don't blame anybody for not doing.
Yeah, it's instructions making is a chore, and it's and the instructions themselves would take just as long as the actual ships to design.
Absolutely.
It's I would take maybe 2 or 3 hours on a design, and then spend 3 or 4 hours making instructions.
Yeah, see,
I could build an entirely separate ship in the same time that it was taking me to build instructions. So that's part of why I went over to the digital file.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, and then you're obviously current day, you're here, you've got your displays and stuff like that.
Yeah, current day I'm here.
Are you, obviously you plan on going to Brick Rodeo, are you plan on doing anything else? Because you're outside of Austin. Are you planning on doing any kind of like any other conventions or smaller shows, maybe down in the more southern part of Texas or anything like that?
I am not 100% sure yet.
Okay.
I'm still brand new to this whole scene. This is only my second convention ever.
Hi, me too. High fives. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm still very new to this whole thing. I don't know what all's available. I also don't know what my schedule's going to be like.
Yeah, obviously that changes.
Yeah, like
that makes it a big deal.
Well, yeah, because like I'm still in college. It's like my next semester is my last semester. Then I, get to go out into the real world and get a job.
You get to be an adult.
Yeah, I get to be an adult.
And then you have your Lego budget, of course.
Yeah, and then my Lego budget, which hopefully will expand a little bit once I get a little bit more income. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, of course.
But so I'm not 100% sure. I know I do. If things work out, I want to hit Brick Rodeo, Bricks Killeen again next year.
Yeah.
Assuming again we have it, and Brick Fair, Virginia.
Yeah. Those are big ones.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Those are big ones.
And I'm hoping next year, because this year I kind of have just a hodgepodge display. It's what I had. I'm hoping next year I can actually have a couple dioramas.
That'd be neat.
So I'm finding out that the little trans blue 1x1 plates are a lot more expensive in bulk than I was expecting, and I'm going to need a lot more of them than I was expecting. So we'll see.
Let's see what diorama it looks like.
Yeah, it might be like one. I'm hoping for two, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, give me your Instagram account one more time so everybody can go follow you.
Instagram account is Brickships Designs.
Go check him out. Go check out Greg. Tell him I sent you, or hey, I heard your voice, and I'm following you because I like your ships. Anyway, that's gonna close us out, guys. Greg, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Had a blast. I've talked to a bunch of people today. So, guys, we are gonna close this puppy out for today. I hope you guys learned something new, from the history lessons to the doctor we had on earlier to the ship love that is going around to you name it. It's been done. So with that in mind, pass the word along. Go check out these social media accounts, these websites, and just be a good sport in the community, and everything will work out fine. So until next time, I'm your Minifigure Ghost, Matt. Let's build on it.